live now because there's people. We are due to go live. We are live. We are live. Yes. So what bowled you over, Gary? You've been bowled over, but
I was bowled over by your post on the great Type 40 Facebook stream, which everybody should be in.
Oh, the Facebook group, yeah.
Which is the fact that Big Finished announced apparently the return of the Ninth Doctor and Rose.
Yeah. Okay, so when I saw that, I was like, as I finished my stream, that came out, right? I was like, that's incredible. It's really, really good news. Really exciting. Then I heard the trailer, and it's the first time a trailer literally put me off. I was so wanted by the first three. The trailer, they sound so disinterested.
I'll have to listen to it again.
Maybe it's the editing. They look very interested in this first
They
picture.
do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I don't imagine them doing anything other than bringing their A game. Okay, they're
very pleased to. In fact, the way that Chris's jeans are riding up there, he looks very pleased to see.
I think Dan, that this picture was taken right after Mr. Eccleston padlocked the Big Finish studios so that RTD and Jane Tranter couldn't get in.
Obviously, you've got to be careful. This isn't a Doctor Who show, as I say to people every week who fill the live chat with Doctor Who questions and comments. But yeah, this story has just broken. Type 40, our sister show, sister channel Doctor Who stuff. We'll probably get around to that at some point. But yeah, this is pretty big news. I'm
excited.
I love
I
the
really
picture
am.
there.
I'm really excited.
It's nice to see. Nice to see them.
I am up for it.
Nice to see them all together, and you'll get some commentary from us, no doubt, over on Type 40 at some point in the future.
Rosa and Chris.
Yeah. I still can't get used to seeing Billy's hair all rusty like that. The Amy Pond look, but there we go. So it is nice to see them back together, and we're back together here on the show as well. There's us, and there's him.
Oh, hi.
And there's Frank as well. Frank, you're looking a bit. He's still banged up. What's going on?
He's still in Canada, poor bastard.
We're going to get some updates on that later. But so I just walked into the second of the so what's this Ninth Doctor and Rose thing?
They are. Oh, that's the wrong one. So yes, Big Finish just announced that Chris Eccleston has gone back and he's bringing Billy Piper with him for a long program of brand new audio adventures for the Ninth Doctor and Rose together for the first time. They've announced about 12 different box sets, all effectively show run.
Box sets. There's 12 releases, aren't there?
12 actual. I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of them.
I'll look it up.
12 individual releases, so we can't get too deep into this. Looks like there's going to be 12 individual releases, all put together by John Ainsworth and Matt Fitton, seem to be show running it in effect. No further cast members as yet, but just a talk of the Powell estate and Jackie in the press release. So that's all we really know so far.
Pass for me. But as of Frank, so Frank's still in jail. Nobody gave him any money, so we may not see Frank much going in the future because it's a sad time for
crowdfunding.
Frank.
Didn't work.
Oh man, what Frank is going to have to do for a couple of cigarettes? That's all I don't want to tell you.
He's
tough crowd.
Purple hair. He thinks that might save him.
Yeah, could do. Never know.
Tough crowd for old Frank. Oh, it could be a tough crowd.
I actually think, you know what, Chris? I think you should write a letter to our good president and see if he can pardon him.
Well, it'd probably be our president fairly soon too. I'll just
there you go.
Wait, and then I'll write to my president.
There you go.
Not a controversial topic at all. Gary and I talked a lot earlier in the week about all that.
It's $9.99 per story for download, which means they're individual stories, and they're being released like one a month, which I think is good. It's a good strategy. I think
I'm going to embrace the excitement.
I'm happy for those of you that are excited. I will say for those of you that are excited, I am happy. I couldn't care less, but I am happy for those that are happy. So that's so I'm not going to be a complete ass.
It's funny with extraneous stuff, isn't it? I think this goes with Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Star Wars. I think, and any of the other sort of franchises and things that we follow that we're interested in. I think we cherry pick even more so, don't we? With with because some of us just don't read, or some of us can't fit audio drama into our day-to-day lives, and so we kind of have to find it within ourselves that we're never going to be completists with absolutely everything. So we think, okay, well, I'll let that pass, and let the people who enjoy those things enjoy those things. I mean, I got most incensed when I saw them announce a set of Jodie Whittaker releases, whenever that was, 80 months. I got really pissed off for about 2 hours. And I thought, hang on.
I know we're not.
Me? I'm never going to part with any money for this stuff, so it doesn't affect me at all. It's the same as those silly Star Wars comics they make about the Jedi Academy with like a lot of 11-year-old gender
it's not like that.
binary students and things. I'm never going to buy that shit, so who cares?
No. I'll tell you what it's like. There's quite a good Woody Allen movie called Bullets Over Broadway, which has it's set in the 30s or something. It has Chaz Palminteri, the guy from The Usual Suspects, in it. Anyway, he's like a mobster in it, and there's a playwright who gets a play financed by having this mobster finance it, as long as his girlfriend's in it. And this like mobster is there to watch her, right? And she's awful. And he ends up writing the play with the playwright. He's this brilliant writer, right? And eventually they have to assassinate. He decides to kill the girlfriend because here's the thing. The bits that one day she was sick and the understudy was in, and said everything was better. Even the bits she wasn't in was better. She paints the entire pool. Right, it's weird, but it's true. Like these fugitive doc thing, and they have a multi-doc thing. You know they're going to have Jodie Whittaker in it now. You know they're going to have.
I've only
not
ever
after
seen.
It gets canceled, but I'll echo Archer Colin in the comments.
He's right.
Yeah, but it's still Big Finish current years. So
he's right.
Fingers crossed.
I as you know, I was a big fan of Big Finish for decades.
You were a completist. In fact, I think all of us here were completists for a long time, weren't we?
Well, mine were all digital because I subscribed as soon as they went digital in 2007. But Big Finish went woker than what was on TV. And it became. I stopped a few years ago. It became.
They held back, didn't they? But when they went woke, they went woke in a really big way. I mean, looking your description of that Woody Allen movie there, Rabbi, to change the subject, that sounded really good. And anytime anybody ever tells me the premise of a Woody Allen film, I always think it sounds like really good, really clever, the kind of thing I'd enjoy. I think he's made about 40 movies. I've only ever seen one, and it was a really early one. And I ought to go back and watch some of this stuff.
Which movie have you seen?
You know, it was one
Royale.
from about 1971. You know, I've never even seen that. It was one from about 1971. No, it was before Annie Hall. I've never seen that either. And he was if I was to describe you, run. I think it was Take the Money.
Yeah, Take the Money and Run.
That's a good one. But okay, if you want to see serious Woody Allen, I mean, like Woody Allen is prime. There's a lot to good choose from. Crimes and Misdemeanors is excellent. Stardust Memories, if you want to start early, that's just beautiful. It's in black and white. It's with Mia Farrow. He's on a really good vibe on that one.
Rabbi, what about Sleeper? Do you like that one, Rabbi?
I do like Sleeper, but that's
a science fiction one, Dan. You should.
Yeah. Well,
I'll tell a lie. I have seen Sleeper, but I saw it when I was about 10, and I didn't really understand it. I saw it late night on TV.
In Stardust Memories, he's visited by these aliens in a dream sequence, and they said, "We like your movies, especially the early funny ones." The whole thing is about him having to make one of those serious movies, and they're like, "No, we liked it when you were funny."
Yeah,
I have an admission. Even though I love all movies, I have never watched, unless by accident, any Woody Allen films. I think I actually might own a couple that I've never seen.
What have you seen?
I've got a couple. I've never watched them.
Yeah.
What have you seen?
Any Woody Allen anything.
Okay. I really recommend Stardust Memories as a good place to start.
I shall add it to the list of things.
Also try Rabbi, the one where it's a Chinese movie that's dubbed and it becomes a spy movie. What is that? What's Up, Tiger?
I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
It's like he takes a foreign film. It was the late 60s, and he overdubs it, and the new dialogue turns it into like a spy movie where everybody is out for this secret formula for egg foo young or something.
That does sound good.
yeah, give me a list and I'll add it to my list of things to check out.
Purple Rose and Cairo is a must-see.
Major film
other stuff. Although, if you are looking for something cool, if you remember the bucket story from last week, but the package that ended up in there was
Chris,
no, it's actually
I haven't been able to stop thinking about that bucket story.
well, the good thing is it was in a cardboard thing and it was sealed. But the thing that I got from it was actually really cool. So it's from Arrow Video. It was released in Region 1 and Region 2. J Horror Rising, so Japanese Horror Rising. And we know all the classics. If you're into this, there's Ringu, which is the original Ring, Ju-on, which is the original Grudge, One Missed Call, which trilogy had a terrible remake. But this one, so if you don't know, J-horror was a genre of Japanese horror movies that didn't last very long, only from maybe 98 to about 2002, only 3 or 4 years. But everybody only knows of like the big ones. So again, this is from Arrow Video, because if you don't know, as I've said before, Scream Factory's former acquisitions department now works for Arrow, which is one of the reasons Scream Factory sucks now. But what the people at Arrow, who really know what they're doing, did. So this came out in October. I saved up for it and picked it up. But it has 7 J-horror movies from 1999 to, I believe, 2001, none of which have ever been released outside of Japan. I'd never heard of any of them before. But I'm about halfway through, and I would highly recommend this. And they have subtitles. I like subtitles because it makes me seem smart. But no, if you're a horror fan and you're looking for, sorry, what's that, Rabbi?
I always take subtitles over dubbing. Dubbing's awful.
Oh no, these aren't even dubbed. They've never been seen outside of Japan. And honestly, I wouldn't want them dubbed anyway. But there's actually a decent variety, including an acid trip of a found footage movie, which things are different colors and stuff like that. Some traditional stuff, some stuff that's similar to The Ring and Ju-on. But I would suggest, so the movies are, in terms of quality, what you would expect from 2001. The transfers are about the best you could get from, but apparently it's actually selling really well. So I would recommend J-horror, Japanese horror. And just check it out. I think you can probably get them streaming.
You must have been like a kid in a sweet shop. I think we'll have to do a dedicated physical media show maybe next week or the week after, and all catch up on the various things we've bought.
I'm broke right now, so I'm not buying much. Everybody in Canada is broke. This was my fun thing for the month. So yeah,
we are touching on something physical media related later in the show that ties in to one thing. And we do have a couple of more people that are going to join us as well, including one person who's coming directly from the cinema to, so much excitement here at the Spacebook Live. We've got a live chat full of people waiting already. Gary, before we get into it, go on. Yes.
Can I take a second?
Yes.
And give a shout out to our wonderful starry-eyed girl, because it's her birthday today.
Happy birthday!
I wasn't sure whether she'd want me to mention that or not, and specifically how old she
can yell. She can yell at me then.
Gary Akers, send all.
I had to say it.
I've not had a message from her because she's on holiday.
Upset. She's not a day over 28, as we all know.
No, she's we're all older than Starry, but I many years ago, Nerdrotic and I declared her honorary Generation X. So she's Gen X in spirit.
Yeah, would explain a lot. To be truthful, yes. So obviously, Sarah,
spirit animal was Gen X.
She's on holiday at the moment, celebrating her birthday with her family. I can't confirm how old she is, but if you'd like to leave your birthday greetings.
That's all we're saying. It's 28.
Sarah in the comments. I'm sure she'll catch up with them at some point. But happy birthday to our starry-eyed girl, honorary Generation Xer. And yes, one of our very favourite people. I hope she's going to come back on here soon, come to think of it. But yes, let's get stuck into it. We're sort of stuck in hyperspace, aren't we? But I think with a bit of a nudge and a bit of a pull, as always, we should, something interesting should pop up.
Now you can imagine all the power in the universe. Masters of the Universe collection. 23 pieces, each sold separately. There's He-Man and these heroic action figures. Skeletor and the Warriors of Evil, and 4 fighting creatures. Castle Grayskull, Point Dread, and the Talon Fight. You put them together. And battle machines like the Attack Track, batteries not included. What would you do with all the power in the universe?
Yes, that's right. Here we are. Come in, come in. Are you receiving us? I think you've received enough already, haven't you? This is the Spacebook Live with your roundup of the week in Geek for Saturday, the 15th of February, 2025. As much out there entertainment and as many Kryptonians too as we can beam direct to your ears and your eyes and other devices on YouTube and Rumble. Here on our pop culture live stream, we're back and keeping it 100% real time while I try valiantly and vaguely to keep us on some sort of mission.
I thought you were going to say Valium.
I had all those figures. I missed those figures. We all have those figures.
We'll have a look in a moment. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks, and this is the panel, or most of them here. So far, I'm happy to say we've got bathed in light here. We've got John Yulden directly behind me, direct from a guest appearance on another show. Fabulous. I can't wait to catch up on that, John. Great to have you back.
Incubated.
Yeah. Well, it's like the flipping TARDIS Zero room at the moment.
Like crazy.
It's that bright. Yeah.
It looks like you're in a 1970s pop video.
Rabbi, all I know, by the end of this show, I'm going to have severe radiation burns. All right.
Well, we're getting them off you.
The Close Encounters mothership is hovering over his house.
Yes, so that's it. We've got John. We've got the Rabbi from another planet. Who else? He's unmistakable, isn't he? We've got the Rabbi from another planet. We've got Gary Akers there too. We've got the mighty Bolstrek and Frank. Frank's still not in the best of shape. But I thought so with Frank.
Justice for Frank.
Listen. Frank's in a bad way. There's a lot of Muslims in Canadian jails now. And you know how they get on with goats. That's all I'm saying.
Frank's having a very bad time.
The goat are very intimately entwined.
He's very sad and very sore and not happy.
Yes,
so
he
pray
is.
For Frank.
If you want Frank, if you want to help Frank, give him money so he can get some kind of Vaseline. It'll make his life so much better.
But if the great Lord Starmer, if you are watching, Prime Minister, hello. Yes, that wasn't me that said that.
Yes, I think something's about to happen here.
I could be snipped out by Starmer quicker than DC Updates did with Dean Cain. Did you see this picture? Fabulous picture earlier in the week from the big MegaCon convention. I think it was last weekend. All these Kryptonians, all these actual supermen there, all lined up, and a huge DC fan site on X went and cut the far right.
Really?
They cut Dean Cain out of the picture, whacked it on their social media.
How embarrassing! Wait. Who's the one in the blue shirt?
I have a breakdown. I have a breakdown of who they all are. You'll be pleased to learn. Because obviously Dean Cain, he's very much a Superman legend. I think a lot of people grew up with Dean Cain.
Hottest Lois Lane. I'm sorry, still the hottest Lois Lane.
Really, Terry Hatcher, hottest Lois Lane?
Not even close. It was from that she became the Bond girl, and there was a scene in it where he's like facing away from you, and Bond uses some kind. It unzips her dress, right? Oh God, she was gorgeous. Now, if I may describe her breasts in the words that she once spoke, they said, yes, they're real and they're fantastic. Right? So that was an actual line that she spoke. So that happened.
I knew somebody was bound to mention that. But yeah, there were others. There were others there too. So we have who's here? Yes, here we are. Got them. So this is the lineup. We have on the far left, that's Tim Daly, who voiced Superman in the animated series, and next to him is Brandon Ruth from Superman Returns, who later reprised the role, didn't he, in the CW shows? He came back as Superman. Right. It's got a sort of Kingdom Come version, didn't he, Gary? The guy next to him in the blue shirt, very Superman blue shirt, is George Newbern, who voiced the character in Justice League, the animated series. Again, fabulous show, one of my very favourites. There's Tyler Hoechlin next to him, who's just wrapped up as Superman on TV in Superman and Lois.
I was very impressed with his take on it.
Nobody wanted to see that series go.
I grew to like him. I still think he looks and feels nothing like Superman in many respects, but I think he did do some what I've seen, because I haven't seen by anywhere near.
Well, the whole vibe of it, they want to do something different. They want to do like an older, married Superman. So that's why I think it worked.
Because he's so square-jawed and all stubbly and things like that. And for me, it's just not the way Superman should be. I couldn't really get past that. Tom Welling next to him, though, for me, always looked the part of fabulous Clark Kent. And I'm always a little gutted that we never got to see him really fly as Superman. And there's Dean Cain from Lois and Clark from 1993 through to 97, wasn't it? Played that role opposite the great and gorgeous Terry Hatcher.
Terry Hatcher. Wait, didn't Tom Welling fly in the last moments of Smallville?
It was.
You didn't see his shirt and you saw the ass. Did he take off? I can't remember.
Well, yeah, you didn't see him. You saw him like up in space, but you didn't see him in the suit. You assumed it was him.
I see.
Yeah.
I have another show I have never watched.
It was good. It was good, but
it's on my list.
One of those. Don't hang in there waiting to see him fly, because you may as well go and watch the last scene first and then watch the rest, and then you got it out of the way.
I waited 10 years and he did fly. Oh, and by the way, Dan, so Starmer sent his representative.
Yeah, I can actually see a shadow. That's on my window right now.
Gone. We're back to Officer
so
McBeanie.
If we his avatar, dude, it's not Frank anymore.
No, yeah. If you look down, Frank's gone.
Oh no!
Yeah, he's gone.
Let's have a.
Oh
no!
Yeah. It's Officer McBeanie who arrested Frank. Oh, and Rabbi, you would probably like 9 Days in the Valley if you like Terry Hatcher.
Okay, yes, I will.
He lacks clothing through about half that movie.
I think that's the correct ratio.
Yeah,
it's good news.
I want whatever Dean Cain is taking, because he looks like he's aged like 2 hours since.
That was like 30 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's 59, I think now. So he's so
he's
getting up there. He just kept himself in shape. He looks chunkier now. But
Tom Welling looks older.
Yeah, Tom Welling looks like shit. We're like,
although did that show end like 15 years ago?
Tom Welling looks like a lot of crystal meth later.
Obviously,
he has just got that DUI.
The ranks of Kryptonians is about to swell again with the debut of David Corenswet in a few months' time in Superman from James Gunn. I think most of us are kind of looking forward to that, or at least curious enough to be sort of hanging on in there to see what's coming in that big movie. We're not quite sure how long it's going to be. Yeah, I'm very, very excited about it. What I'm enjoying, though, Rabbi, in all seriousness, and why I am so disappointed in an account like DC Updates, which is a big fan account, is that all the Superman actors are kind of rallying around David, including Henry Cavill, to support him. It's all like a united front. It's almost like a dad's army made up solely of Supermen. And I just think it's really sweet. And so for people out here in the fandom to not take that in the spirit in which it's offered, I think it's a great pity, Gary.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's always social media always, comes to premature conclusions without any evidence. It's like, just we have to wait and see. Let's wait and see what the movie's like before we see what kind of Superman he is.
The trouble is it got very tribal, right? People are like, no, we like Zack Snyder, we want it back, like Snyder. And I like it. I think the greatest superhero movie ever made is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think that's the pinnacle superhero movie.
I certainly think it's in the top 3. And as for tribalism, yeah, I mean, it's that whole thing about, isn't it, about sort of denying reality and denying the evidence of your own eye. Which camp are you in? What are you going to subscribe to? Often the producers, the actors, it's more in line with people are choosing which side they're in based on the things that those people, rather than the characters, John, are seen to represent. And that's probably where we're falling down, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen stuff in the last week or so where it's literally, Snyder Bros, I think they're called. They've been seriously,
are they really?
Seriously, personally attacking people online because they don't like the Snyderverse, and they just hate
That's silly,
this movie before it's even come out because it's not Cavill. And again, there comes a point where you've just got to let that go, and you've just got to go, right, as Gary was saying, you give it a chance, you watch it yourself, gather your own thoughts about it, and then you go from there, but the whole campaign to try and tank it before it even arrives is a bit silly, really.
And they never work, these campaigns, either.
No.
They tried to tank, what's his name? James Bond. What's the last one? Daniel Craig.
Oh, yeah, it's the same thing.
And then he came out with a really good movie, and nothing else mattered.
Yeah.
You remember, it was Craig is not Bond, the campaign was. And there was right. I think it was the very first hashtag that I ever saw. It was pathetic. It really was. I mean,
we can't have a blonde Bond as well, was one of them, wasn't it, at the time?
I was gutted. I thought it was a terrible choice. Then I saw Casino Royale, and I was wrong. Right? It was fine.
How times have changed. Back then we couldn't have a blonde Bond, and now a man can call himself a woman, and everything's absolutely fine. We're supposed to just go with that. Oh dear, what strange times we live in. Yeah, we've got a lot to get into on this edition of the show, including somebody who's joining us directly from the cinema. Never mind all that snazzy social media and apps and things like that. We've got somebody who's actually been to the cinema itself this evening. I think they're with us. I think they're present. And so, let's bring him on. I'm happy to say, welcome back to the show and back to the panel, Ian David Diaz.
Cheers. Hello.
Cheers, Mega Geek.
How are you guys doing? All right?
What are you mega drinking, mate? What's going on?
Just a pint of crap, basically.
Pint of crap?
A pint of crap.
Some Grand de Month.
Yeah, that's what it is. Don't worry on 65.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you've been to the cinema, mate. Yep. You've been to the cinema today.
Yep. I went to see Captain America: Brave New, whatever it's called.
How is it? I'm really intrigued.
Well, do you know what? Right, it isn't as bad as people say, but it's still crap. It has a lot of action in it, right? But it comes across as like written by a 5-year-old for some reason. That's what it comes across.
You surprised me not.
Well, they tried to copy Winter Soldier, but I didn't feel anything for anyone. I didn't feel anything for Sam. I didn't feel anything for his new partner. He tried to crack wise and it didn't work. Story didn't make any sense.
Tried to crack one off.
Yeah, tried to crack wise. He tried to be funny, but I didn't think.
Oh, gotcha.
That's not his wheelhouse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the cinema I was in, it was half full with loads of kids and stuff. They didn't laugh once. Nobody cheered, because I remember we used to go to see a Marvel movie. People cheer in when they see the title and stuff. None of that.
That's over now.
The problem with the film is that the screenplay's terrible, and you don't care about any of the characters. When the Hulk turned up, you just didn't care. Right. Everybody keeps saying this is a sequel to Winter Soldier.
A TV show.
It is not. It is a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, the first Incredible Hulk movie.
2008.
Really? I gotta go back there?
The amount of stuff they had in this film that was connected to that movie is astounding.
Wow.
Liv Tyler back?
Okay.
Yes, she came back, yes.
Ian, I have a question for you. I have a theory.
Go on. Yep.
Right. What was wrong with what's it called? That last Bond movie.
The last
Die Another Day. What was it called again?
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. What was wrong with it?
I think it was conceived to be a different movie, right? I think it was conceived to have Loretta Lynch do a gun barrel sequence at the end, and it was set up to be that handing over to a more stunning, more brave female Bond, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Can I just say one more thing?
I haven't finished.
All right, go on.
Then they re-edited it because they saw they were going to get their ass handed to them, And they kind of, so that's why this movie just didn't have a center. It didn't gel. It made no sense, right? It was like bits put together. It's like a Frankenstein of a movie. I have a feeling this was very different 2 reshoots ago, right? Yeah. I think it was very Orange Man bad.
This was reshot completely like 4 times.
It was. Listen, just before we go on, I'd like to say, before I went into the cinema, there were 5 people from Marvel. 5 people, and I was like,
were they in black suits with shades?
No, well, they were very diverse, put it that way.
They're in wheelchairs.
So basically,
Just Starmer there. Yes,
they were all standing there before I went in and said, "You going to go and see the film?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Would you mind filling in this?" This
awesome.
Telling us what you think of the film. Right, so I didn't fill it in, obviously, because I've still got it here. I just wanted to write "this is shite" right across it, but I thought I better not. But it's really funny because they are really trying to figure out what the audience like. But the thing is, though, there's no need to do this, right? All they have to do is hire the right people, the people that really like the stories, and and then they'll be off to the races.
The bloody medium.
Yeah, they don't.
And that's been the truth of the MCU since Phase 2. Frankly,
Ian was very good in sending this ahead of the show. These shots here of the form he's clutching in his hand there, and he's got it at the cinema. It says on the very top, the header says "Market Cast," and it asks to complete questions 1 to 8 before watching the film. Things about you, about your age, and all that kind of thing. And then there's a further section, Ian, to complete after the film. So it's not greatly complicated, but my God, you don't expect a test when you go and see a friggin' film, do you?
I know.
All that stuff. And there's some close-ups of here of various things they ask you.
Also, it's like, do you remember Men in Black when they gave him a pen and he was to write on that form, and everybody was like trying to, because they were sitting in those weird chairs. Where the hell are you going to fill this in? All you got is one handle with your arm length on, right? And the lights go down. So how the hell are you going to see it in the first place? Unless you switch your phone on where everybody starts complaining. It's so stupid.
Ian, did you color in every circle for number 14?
No,
it seems to be, Ian, that they asked you to arrive at a conventional kind of rating the way that we do when we talk about movies on here. And then they say, regardless of your rating, what did you like about it? And then did you like the reveal of this character and this set piece? And there's a whole list of complete spoilers.
There is.
And then again, what did you not like about it? Too much drama with the president and his daughter. Sam Wilson wasn't good as Captain America. The ending wasn't satisfying. So it seems quite comprehensive. It does seem, there's a lot here.
It is. I'd just like to say one more thing before we pass on this. They have a character in this film, right? And she's meant to be the president's bodyguard or something like that. She's 5 foot. I kid you not. This girl is 5 foot, right? I don't know what her name is.
That's her, Rabbi. Yeah.
She's supposed to be Israeli.
Yeah, right. She's tiny, right? And she takes on there's like all these guys with guns. She takes them all on. Apparently, she used to be a widow, apparently. But it still doesn't explain. She's tiny. Seriously, they could have stepped on her. Do you know what I mean? It just...
Really? Is she top heavy? Is there some upside?
No, she's very thin.
It's like that last Terminator movie. Like the new John Connor.
You're not selling me on this.
Yeah, it looks like a Brat doll.
Do you know what, right? Kids would love this because it has loads of action in it. It's got the Hulk at the end, the Red Hulk at the end and stuff like that. I tell you the truth, Harrison Ford was good. You can tell Harrison Ford put 100% into what he was doing. I thought he was good. And bless him, the guy plays Sam Wilson. He tried his best as well, but the script sucks, man. And the whole thing.
Well, question number 24 tells you everything they need to know. If you click number 1, your opinion doesn't count, and they throw it away.
That's right.
I was just reading that to you.
I prefer not to say.
I think for me as well. I mean, there's a few elements I'll try and pick apart here. The first one is that, as Ian was saying, it all starts with the scripts. That's a major problem and this is at a point now where Marvel, and they're not going to do it, the corporate overheads, because they need to basically, I would say, take a 4 or 5 year break, structure things out, spend time on making it a good universe, then come back. But they're not going to do that because they want to milk the cow.
You can't turn the ship round quick
enough.
enough.
The other thing I would say is, and it goes back to what I said when we talked about Fantastic Four, with these films now, they give you so much homework to do.
I know, it's ridiculous.
With like you were saying, Ian, it links back to, what is it, the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie.
Well, they gave Ian actual homework.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. And that's the thing. So they're doing this side of it, but the basics they're not even focusing on. It's like filling it with too much rubbish.
Well, I can answer those for
MCU
you.
And Lucasfilm, what they really need to do, and they need to do for a couple of years, is just put a total stop on all production. Stop.
Well, here, let me fill in this.
Destroying us. Just a total stop on all production and work out what their plan is, because everything it's like Talons of Wayne Yang, a bit of a Doctor Who reference. That when the evil villain, right, his face is falling apart because he tried these Zeta experiments to time travel, which made his molecular structure fall apart. Anyway, the Doctor explains to Leela, right, basically what's going on. She says, "Oh, he is like a cheesecloth, like a leather pouch with a hole in it. The more you pour water into it, the more it opens up, and the more quicker the water comes out. Right? That is what's happening with MCU and Lucasfilm. The MCU are at least trying to turn it around." Right, I mean, like the Thunderbolts movie looks like it will be a fun movie that people will go to cinema to see in the summer, right? I mean, that's the vibe I get from it, and that's sort of the vibe they're giving out.
Girl power. I can answer these questions,
right? They can't turn it around quick enough.
I must say, Chris, my eye's been drawn to the questions as well. Very specific ones.
I haven't seen it, but I'll give you the answers right now. So the first one, not fun and entertaining. Will you see Captain America: A Brave New World again? No, I won't even watch it once. How many times have you been to see a film in the past 6 months? I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. That was fun, and that was the end. Who would you recommend Captain America: Brave New World to? Nobody. Have you seen the TV show, The Falcon and Winter Soldier? No. I watched about half of it and said, to hell with this. Do you subscribe? Have access to Disney Plus? No, I canceled in 2022 and I wouldn't take this shit for free. Based on the preview you saw today, how interested are you in seeing the Below films at the cinema? Probably woke trash because it's in the cinema. Finally, which of these ethnic groups do you consider yourself to belong to? I am a Martian from the planet Zeldor.
That's other.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, actually, how could a I'm how could a Martian be from planet Zeldor? No, I'm a Zeldorian from Mars. There, that's me.
Do you know what?
I'm drawn to the Disney Plus related questions, Ian, because the homework that like you say, if it was more a sequel to that film from years ago, that first Hulk film, then then does that really matter?
All the characters from the Incredible Hulk film was in this. Even the guy that was trying to help Bruce Banner. Remember the guy who was trying to help Bruce Banner?
Eagerly. I enjoyed that film.
He was in it as well. And Liz turns up at the end in Lies, whatever her name is.
How many of them needed the money?
Ian, did you at least?
What's her name? Jill's Hot. Is from Lord of the Rings. Is she in it?
Yeah, she's in it. Yeah. Sorry,
Ian, did you at least get a Red Hulk popcorn bucket?
No, because they weren't selling it. But they did have a Red Hulk, half of his body, on top of the counter where they pour the drinks. And I thought they were for sale. I said, "Is that for sale?" The guy goes, "No, it's just a thing." So there you go. Before I went in, the 5 of them that were standing there, they looked like really scary people. They said, so I said, "Oh, you're joking, aren't you? You want me to fill this in?" And he goes, "Yes, if you don't mind." And I said, "You do realize that Marvel's, screwed, basically." And they said to me, "Well, how so?" And I said, "Well, you've just turned a boy's brand into a woman's brand." And they all laughed. They all laughed like this, and they turned away. They turned away from me. I just went in.
CV ready, Marvel people.
Sorry?
No, I just tell them, get your CV ready because it's not going to end very well.
Seriously.
That's exactly what they did. And they made it so boys don't like it because it's too girly, and girls don't like it because it's a boy brand. Yeah. They destroyed themselves. It's a stupidity beyond stupidity.
I find it hilarious. Like the Thunderbolts, like they had Rachel Pugh, who completely lacks anything even remotely resembling charisma at the front. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna go real well. You learn nothing before, so yeah, why not? Just go and do it. Yeah,
I mean, I did give some spoilers away in this, and I'll give another spoiler away. So if you don't think anybody
cares.
Yeah,
okay.
Bucky's in this.
Bucky's
in this just for a small segment.
I can't get over Bucky because he played Tommy Lee in that movie, and
that's awesome.
His talking.
That is fantastic. Are you kidding me?
Well, no. Here's the thing, though, dude.
Awesome.
You cannot get over his talking man part.
Yes, yes. And a very
photorealistic
animated talking dong. Unapologetically.
Every time I see Bucky, that's all I see. Well, that
once you've seen his talking soldier, you're not really interested in his.
Let me explain.
That's one of the highest quality things that came out.
Okay, Rabbi, let me explain. Right, the reason why I think Bucky's in it, I don't think he was in it originally. I think this was one of the reshoots. You know, everybody on the internet was saying, "Well, he hasn't got the super serum. You know, how could he, Hulk slam his thing into the shield? Right. How could he survive that and all that stuff?" Well, that scene was especially to address that scene when Bucky says to him, right, "Why didn't you take the super serum?" And he was like, "Well, I can't remember what the excuse was, whether it was blah, 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 this, blah, blah, blah." And it was all about that, about not taking the super serum. And at the ending, right, what made me laugh is that the Hulk smacks him one, he goes flying, smashing through a car, the whole of the road gets digged up and everything, and all these rocks fall in him, and he's still alive. Just like, how does that work? How does that work? Do you know what I mean?
Like, Ian, and also I'm going to ask you as well now, and just see if you can corroborate this, but I'm not sure you've watched what other people are watching in cinemas. For all we know, they're putting all 3 different versions out and giving surveys out.
Like Clue.
I wouldn't put it past them.
And it could be sheer incompetence because nobody there knows what they're doing, and this has been reshot and re-edited so many times. I'm sure nobody even knows what the actual version is. So it's not like Clue where it was cool and unique. Here it's just stupid.
Well, I did also hear as well that apparently there's a conflict. I haven't seen the film, but it's not China because Disney want to obviously sell the film to China. Yeah. So it's Japan.
Yeah, it's Japan.
So the United States versus Japan. That's what they've set up in this film.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the thing is, though, a lot of kids were there, right? And I swear, none of them cheered. None of them. They just sat in their chair and they watched it. That's how bad it is.
Why not do Korea if you want to have an Oriental bad guy?
But the thing is, though, he's thrown the shield like he's Captain America. He's beating up all these people like he's got the super serum. And then they go and do that scene where you haven't got the super serum. Because I just assume he had the super serum because he was just literally Captain America.
I totally as well.
I think the only thing this film had going for it is the normies, the general public that doesn't follow this stuff. And they're like, "Oh, the last Captain America film was Civil War. That was really good. Let's watch this. This is horrible."
Actually, you want to know what they could have done, which was really good? Ed Brubaker, who's a very good writer, I very much recommend his criminal series. He did a series where there was a black Captain America in the 50s who just got screwed over by the government royally, right? That would have been an awesome movie.
Yeah. He's in the film.
He's in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series.
He's in the film
without trying to make a point, because you don't need to make a point when you're already. That's the structure of the movie. That would have been a solid movie.
The most important thing I want to know if they're addressed, and this is from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, did they actually find out whether Cap actually was able to get a bank loan? because that was massive in Falcon and Winter Soldier. You're a superhero going around the world, but a bank are going to turn you down.
Look, we're going to move on now, but thank you, Ian, for this direct from the cinema review, potted review of Captain America: Brave New World, the movie and the experience. So beware if you stray to your local multiplex. If you Look, I say daft enough. Ian, no offense. When he phoned me up and said, I've been to see the Captain America movie. What?
Why?
Who's enabling you? Yes, so if you do go and see it and they do press an A4 piece of paper or set of papers into your hand, you know what you're going to expect now. So perhaps consider your answers before you get there. We want to pivot back to quality entertainment right now. And I think here in Britain, it's so frigging cold. We could do with pivoting back to kind of a warmer climate and getting outdoors and a bit of fresh air and the kind of pastimes that you can indulge in such environments, Chris, in a sort of safe and responsible way. And when I think about such things, I look to you and your countrymen, knowing that I'm going to get sensible advice from everybody in your nation, and I can always come to you for these incredible films that are going to sort of fill in some blanks and maybe denote some common pitfalls. So, do you want to introduce this week's PSA?
Okay, so this week we're gonna have a fun day at the lake. So, fun day at the lake. Okay. What could possibly go wrong? You know, you're out, you're at the dock, you got the birds, and you're fishing and all that stuff. How can this go wrong? Well, in the I think by now you're starting to realize that the people behind our PSAs are very sick individuals. But so this week, we'll just have some fun at the lake. So this is going to be nice and relaxing. Here we go.
A perfect day at the lake. There's Ernie fishing off the pier. Kids playing. And Bob and the gang on another afternoon booze cruise.
Impaired boating is impaired driving.
What?
Booze cruise. Hey, it is very. It's got that kind of almost like David Lynchian kind of quality to it.
This is I think in Canada people actually have a phobia of commercials because I think given that I've been doing this every week for months now. And there's no shortage of this kind of stuff because they didn't have this stuff in the States. They didn't have this kind of stuff in the UK. Here it was kind of endless. So you become paranoid when you see these commercials come up because you're like, is something going to happen? And
there's something weird. Okay, tied together with how woke the government is.
Well, here's the thing, Rabbi. They don't do these anymore.
I don't understand what the connection is.
Well, no, they don't do these anymore. When our country went to hell under Justine, rather than these, every commercial out of my country is based on race or gender. So basically, this trend ended around 2015, which is when Justine was elected by a bunch of idiots who refused to do their research. But that's a whole other story. So here's the thing. I don't watch TV. Like I got rid of my cable back in 2019, but I haven't really watched it since like 2013. So, and when I do watch YouTube, I have my VPN sent to Texas, so I get Texas commercials, so I don't have to watch Canadian crap. But occasionally, if I'm at my parents' or something, and they've got HD TV or something on, I'm actually blown away because every commercial is pretty much a parody now. So it's a whole different kind of horror, but I do miss the days of stuff like this where we would be just absolutely terrified. And this is from Mad Canada, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And I think there's like 25 of these, and some of them are more screwed up than the others. I've got enough of this to be going for a while. And let's not forget the anti-drug songs and the don't stick things in your mouth monsters. And we've got some more stuff around that. I've got one of a kid telling off a cop, all sorts of fun stuff. So, so the message is, I don't think there is we're screwed up. We're just completely, we're screwed up here in Canada.
I always thought Canada was so normal.
We were.
And now it's just the weird.
Well, Rabbi, a lot of people like I think it was the one commercial a few months ago where people thought it was fake because they were swearing. I'm like, no, dude, you after like I think it's 8 p.m. you could swear.
Okay,
on
my
TV.
brain still can't comprehend that the Queen Latifah, the Equalizer show, is real. Right? My brain just goes, "Fuck off."
Oh
no, we're going to come back to that in the next segment. Believe it or not, this is the Spacebook live streaming to YouTube and Rumble here with a plucky crew of pop culture pundits, enthusiasts. Some of them are even sober, and people are watching this. Believe it or not, watching and interacting in the live chat in those various places, glued to their screen, dropping comments. So I think it is time we checked in with them and see what they've got to make of all of this nonsense so far.
I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. With Scotch's lifetime guarantee. Take what you want both night and day. Then re-record, not fade away. Re-record, not fade away.
If it's Scotch, it's guaranteed for life.
Oh, get him off. Oh. Yes, welcome back to the Spacebook, and thank you everybody for being so patient with our exclusive review there from the fabulous Ian David Diaz, the mega view from direct from the cinema. We've got comments here from various people who were in right from the jump, including Darren M with greetings and felicitations, hoping we're all well. I'm certainly well by now, Darren. Hope you are too. Lucy Meows in the live chat too. And so is Archer Colin, who says, die hard with the menopause. I'm not sure what he's talking. I think he's talking about the item that we have.
Yep.
If you people do this, look, it's coming up. We'll get to it.
Wait till you hear my review.
Justice for Frank, says Archer Colin. And we've got Stephen Braddock here in the live chat too, who says, hi, everyone. No, that's not the comment I wanted. Okay. I've got myself into this because by putting a Doctor Who item up, it's not a Doctor Who show. We're not taking Doctor Who questions.
And he also might inspire a half-hour-long rant from Officer McCrappy over here.
This is the one I wanted from Stephen Braddock. Been a rough week for me this week, so this is a happy place tonight watching the Spacebook. All comments are welcome, of course they are, but we can't spend 20 minutes talking about Doctor Who because we do enough of that already. Thank you, everybody. We've got Michael Q in the live chat, who's he's all caps. F Canada nostalgia critic.
It's an ongoing. If you don't watch Nostalgia Critic, which no, it's not as good as it used to be, but I could find fun in it. But that's a whole other discussion. But no, if you don't know, every year they do these commercial Doug, aka Nostalgia Critic, does his commercial compilations. So looking at actually, if you like nostalgia, the commercial ones are actually worth watching, even if you don't watch the other ones. But for years there was this running thing where he would show something just completely disturbing from Canada, kind of like what I've seen, and it was what the F word. Oh wait, you're not monetized. What the fuck, Canada? So yeah, he's had the blue monsters on there. He had the lady in the kitchen with the melting.
So this is a content creator on YouTube that does this.
You guys have never. Okay, so you guys must have heard of Nostalgia Critic. He's been around for like
personally
20 years.
haven't.
No, not me.
What?
Gonna have to look it up though. Gonna have to look it up. I have heard of Starry-Eyed Girl Sarah Graham, of course. It's her birthday, and we have several people in the live chat sending happy birthdays to Sarah, and hellos to John as well. John popped in, and John looks like he's in the airlock bay from the Discovery.
He does, doesn't he?
In 2001. It's so white.
I'm actually
it's full of stars.
in heaven right now. So just go easy on me, all of you.
He died yesterday.
Michael would like a multi-Superman movie. I would have done a few years ago. I'd have loved the idea, Rabbi, of seeing multiple Superman actors in the same film. But since the Spider-Man No Way Home,
it's basically a done thing now.
Yeah.
And the trouble with Superman, there's so much good that hasn't been explored, which I think is going to be done by the James Gunn one. It seems to be really leaning into like Bizarro and
Do you know what?
Really go for it. Yeah.
Do you know what? The next step that's going to happen, maybe in 20 years' time, 10, even less, Spider-Man versus Superman. I bet you. They're going to somehow find a way.
That's when it's over.
They're going to find a way of getting those two in one film. I'm telling you, it's coming. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't think anybody gives enough of shit, really.
Well, I'd look forward to it.
Mission Impossible and James Bond.
If you want that, go back and read the original. What was it? 76, the big one.
Yeah,
Spider-Man versus Superman.
They used to call those were they digests or collector's editions? Treasuries. That's it. Treasury editions. Brilliant. We could never get those here. I tried and tried to get the Superman versus Shazam one. Could never get it. Never get it. We've got comments about your survey there, Ian, from Captain America Brave New World. I might have enjoyed the film if I hadn't been busy trying to analyze it for the survey. That wasn't an option I saw on the paper, strangely. Was there any financial incentive, or did they bung you a chocolate bar or an extra foot of soda or something?
They gave him Acolyte Blu-ray.
That's right, yeah.
Not even that hand job.
No, it really was weird people. They were sorry.
It does sound strange, but Stephen suggests here, Ian, that Marvel could be shitting themselves over this not being a massive flop.
Yeah,
to hand out questionnaires, particularly with this one, you think, as you've said, the rabbi said they've shot. I think John, you mentioned it as well. They've shot this 3 or 4 times, and they're still clearly very antsy about it. Yeah. To be handing out something that's so specific like that.
The thing is, though. Again, right, there's no need for all of this rubbish, right? You just have to get someone that knows what they're doing in charge of that film. They
don't know what they're doing.
You can't have 20 people making a decision for one film because that's just stupid. You can't please everyone. You would just have to have one person that makes the decision going all the way through and hope for the best.
You know
that's
what they should have done with that franchise, right? Just like the first one, which was an excellent movie, was a period piece set in like the 40s.
Yeah,
the 30s, 40s. Did the same thing with the Black Captain America story in the 50s, 60s, wherever it was, right? And somehow time jump into the present day, right? And then you can move forward and do the espionage stuff where he's involved in like the politics and the.
Here's the problem, Rabbi. If modern day Marvel were to set this back in the 1950s with the current Captain America, you know exactly what it will be. Anybody remember the Rosa Parks episode of Doctor Who where we're all garbage?
How could I forget?
Which episode?
The Rosa Parks episode.
Oh, fuck you.
But here's the thing that could be going very badly. The fact that this hasn't been a complete flop. I don't understand how, unless people are just desperate to watch something. But the fact that this hasn't been a complete flop, I think could potentially be the final nail in the coffin for Marvel. Like, oh, okay, they like this. They must be fine with it now. You just keep doing what you're doing. I'm done with the Marvel. I haven't watched the Marvel since I don't remember which terrible movie I was dragged to. But yeah, it's I won't be watching it, but I have to give prayers for Ian because for some reason you decided to subject yourself to this.
Well, my niece wanted to go and see it, so I had to go with her. So
well, actually, yeah, that's how I got dragged to some of them. The nephews dragged me to see what is it, Chung-Chi and his rings or whatever that movie was called. Although here, whatever his name is. But Ian, my nephews don't want anything to do with this anymore, so I don't have to go see this crap anymore. It's awesome.
It's funny, right? Because again, right, when you watch as Rabbi says, when you watch the first Captain America, you know who Steve Rogers is. You know him. You care for him all the way through. In this one, you don't care about anyone. It's just laden with action and silly action.
Because they've never earned their position. That's the thing. They always do that when they have like a non-white star. Because they're a non-white star, right? Well, that's the only reason there. They never earned the position. Captain America, Steve Rogers was jumping on grenades when he was thin and wimpy. That's right. And you care for him about that. And they didn't even take that much time to build him up.
They built it so well, didn't they? So well and so efficiently.
They did, you know.
Well, here's the thing.
Like, so when you got the powers, it kind of everything felt earned.
Yes. You don't really need to. The problem is, You don't need to be talented to bumble your way through one of these things anymore. I'm like, okay, we'll just shaky cam, a bunch of action stuff, whatever. Just give them a stupid costume. Back in the days when we used to build actual intricate sets and stop motion and all the stuff that, required know-how and talent. Like, no, we'll just ship this off to our effects department. They can do some crappy looking CG, throw it all together, and there we go. We'll call it a day. Then you end up with this.
If you want to see how these movies are made, you got to see that show. What's it called again? The
franchise.
One from,
franchise.
LA.
The franchise. What? The franchise.
No. It's the Bill Hader one where he's a hitman in LA.
Oh, Barry.
Barry, right? The last season has them on the set for these type of movies, and it's all blue screen, right? And it's it's so soulless, right? There's like this, this acclaimed German director from and is being forced to do this, and they want to kill themselves.
Yeah, I remember a couple of weeks ago was something that we were going to cover, and then I think we forgot. But it was that new movie with Cameron Diaz. I made the mistake of watching it.
That one on Netflix.
I was impressed that she went away.
Yes, terrible.
I did want to cover. I did want to cover that. I never got around to it.
No, I think even by the next day I'd forgotten about it. I think at one point we were supposed to review it. But what I noticed about it. Because I as you know, I have streaming services, but I rarely watch them. Like most of what I watch is like older movies shot on film, stuff that's awesome, even stuff that's terrible. You could tell that there's some heart there. What struck me the whole time I was watching that, which is what's wrong with all of this, is it was soulless. Like the whole thing was just going through the motions. And there's also, I can't remember who the YouTuber was, but there was a video on why everything looks flat now. And it's basically because everything is shot to be completely flat so you can fix it in post, so you don't have shadows or anything like that anymore, which is why everything now looks so ugly. But it's just the whole thing looked soulless. It sounded soulless. I'm watching. I'm like, this is terrible. I'm like, and I actually tested this. I watched Jurassic Park from 2015 because it seems to be around 2015, and not really the switch to digital because we were digital by that point, but from 2015 to present, take anything and compare it. So what I did, just out of curiosity, I watched the first Jurassic World, which I don't hate. It's not great, but all I have is just the regular Blu-ray. I never got this on 4K, and I'm watching. I'm like, you know what? Visually, it looks really good. I don't know if it was filmed on film or not.
What, the first Jurassic Park?
First Jurassic World.
Yeah, it's film.
Yeah, I could see the grain there, so it looked like it was film. And then compare that. So then I put in. I have the other two on 4K, even though I've watched both of them only once. But I put them in. So I watched the first Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. I'm like, this actually looks really good. Like even the Blu-ray is beautiful. I put in the second one. All of a sudden, everything's just flat. Like there's no life. Like the first one has what you would call inky blacks, which is, something related to film. The second one, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which is not a good movie at all. I watched some of it. I'm like, it looked flat. Then I went to Dominion. It looked dead. So you compare, so you're looking at 2015 versus 2020. So
there's a definite transition sort of happening.
And just not just the content, but visually, 2015, that movie, even with the CG, it's a beautiful looking movie. Dominion is completely flat. It's dead. It's one of the reasons why I think I personally do not like most modern film, especially with digital. I think it's made people very lazy. Everything looks flat. Everything looks like
it's because, if I may, it's because of the technology. So basically, when you shoot a film on digital, they have this log thing, that's this flat log.
Yep.
So basically, when you shoot it, everything looks grey, and then they have LUTs, a thing called LUTs, which will guide you how to grade it. So when you put it in the timeline and you put a LUT on it, it will find the color of that camera. So if you're using a Canon camera, find a LUT for the Canon camera, whatever. So in other words, right, it's easier for the person that's lighting the film today because of technology. In the old days, the reason why films look great in the old days, one is because they had more of imagination. Two is because DOPs, the director of photographers, knew what they were doing. They had light meters. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they wanted to make every frame an artistic choice with lighting. But today's people who have technology, they light it the best they can, and then they pull everything out in post. That's the reason why they look very different.
Although the problem is, and I think this touches on just laziness or lack of talent, because there's no reason for them not everything. There are exceptions, but for everything to just look so flat and dead, like they basically decided to do away with the color correction altogether. One exception that I noticed recently was Smile 2 modern film. Looks brilliant. So you can make a modern movie. Sorry?
You can do it, yes.
Yeah, you can do it. And you can tell and it's one of the best horror films I've seen in years. So you could tell that there was passion behind this. So when I'm looking at something like Smile, which is, a lower budget horror movie, looks brilliant, and you compare it to, say, Jurassic World Dominion, which looks completely flat and dead. Okay. So I'm like, you have small budget, or even Ian's, even the stuff that you're shooting in.
Right.
What I was saying was when we saw your trailer for Rebecca Gold season 2, I'm like, this looks good. It doesn't look like it was shot digitally, and it's because you have passion for what you're doing. I don't think anybody at Marvel has any passion.
Well, that's it.
You know what?
You hit the nail in the head, didn't you?
Yeah. But I think the problem is it's not a lack of talent; it's a lack of creative vision.
I think vision is a major thing you can tell is not present with multiple creatives, not just across franchises, everywhere.
Yeah, I think, what we're getting now is like it's a treadmill, right? So because they would need to pump this stuff out fast, they basically have like a setup thing. Yeah, they have a setup way of grading this stuff, and they just play the motions, and they do it as quickly as possible. That's why everything looks grey and flat sometimes in Marvel movies, because that's the fastest way to get it out there. And the same thing with visual effects as well. But again, in the old days, when you were shooting on film, you had to know what you were doing. You had to be good at your job. But today, because technology is so easy, you can shoot a whole film on your phone now. Do you know what I mean?
And it's been done.
And
I think a part of it was 35 mil was roughly about $1,000 for every 10 minutes.
That's the reason why.
And that's why, like, everybody knows that I'm a big fan of just terrible low budget horror. But I'm fascinated when you have you could tell when you watch these films, even like really bad horror films that are shot on film, say mainly from the 80s. But I like putting myself in their position. I'm like, okay, they only have a certain budget of nothing. Their budget is almost all spent on film. So when you look at them, like every shot had to count, because your budget is going to be used up in like 3 hours of film.
Exactly.
Whereas now I think there are a lot of things that have damaged entertainment, but I think the switch to digital is one of the biggest, where now we have technology where pretty much anybody can make a movie. That the artistry, the creativity really isn't there anymore.
Yes.
Well, these fans are pumping out this stuff now, looking at nearly 40 movies in the Marvel Studios franchise, and they're wondering where they could be going wrong. Before we finish off with the comments, I just want to mention this one from Colin, who says the ironic thing is that the people they really need to survey, just as Ian was surveyed at the cinema and he was trying to enjoy himself, are those who didn't go to see the film. It's an excellent point, isn't it, Ian?
It is. Again, they don't need to do this. They just need to hire the right people. And Tarantino said it. He said, when I can't remember which film he was talking about, one of his films, he was just sitting there going, he got a bad rating. I can't remember which one it was. And he was like, that means nothing. Don't you understand? He was talking to the heads. He was going, this means nothing. Just put my film out the way it's supposed to be, and I promise you it will make money. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right, Ian.
And it did.
I would have more respect of them if, although it was a dog with fleas, and it was always going to be a dog with fleas, as if they'd have gone, right, we're going to put it out as this director was doing it in the first version, dog with fleas and all, and let's see how it does.
Yes, yeah.
But the trouble with Marvel now, they are so nervous and twitchy. They tinker all the time, as you were saying earlier, Ian. And again, they're not only fighting that, but they're fighting significant brand damage as well, which is people just don't like Marvel anymore. They're not invested in Marvel.
They haven't been for
and
years.
it's difficult. Exactly. And it's difficult. How do you get that back? And the only way I can think you can do it is
at gunpoint.
You have to take time out.
You got to respect the audience. That's the thing. You have to respect the audience. Everybody knows that Bucky should have been the next Captain America. Everyone, but they ignore it because of DEI, and that's why Sam Wilson's Captain America, even though it was in the comics. But that's when comics were going crap, and this stuff was going in. So do you know what I mean?
And I would also. And my final point on the other thing I was debating, just the best example I have, if anybody has seen Long Legs, which is one of the most beautiful looking films I've seen in decades. Some sequences were shot on film, but for the most part, that's shot on digital. So look at that. And so there's no excuse for Marvel or anybody else to shoot something that looks like complete dog shit, because low budget people can make things that look awesome.
Forget the budget. Bring back the grain.
My rant is
bring back
the
windows, Chris. Bring back the boob windows, and let's get back to.
Okay. Okay.
Let's get
so
back
for my
to the
horror
old days.
friends, what movie? Go back, Dan. What movie was that? Okay, here I want to see if I know what movie it is, but does anybody else here know what movie that was?
I have no idea.
Some low budget stuff.
I want to say Space Truckers. Or
I recognize
like
a bloke, but I don't know what I've seen him in.
Critters 2.
Oh, is it Critters? Okay, Critters 2.
Critters.
Okay.
Originally based.
It's like my Easter franchise. It's awesome. How have you not seen? Don't watch.
Based on a British film, which went by a different name. Of course, this is what they look like in the British version. Back in the
lovely car.
I've sort of lost track of where we're going to go. We've got some stories to get into that we need to cover, that mainly because they're on the thumbnail. So we're going to get into those right now as we get our bearings. Thank you, everybody, for the comments so far. What's in the flask?
Sometimes 1-800-COLLECT can be a lifesaver.
Right now, every completed 1-800-COLLECT call enters you in Buffy's 1-800-COLLECT. Let 'em eat steak sweepstakes. Watch Buffy Mondays, know your Slayer trivia, and win great prizes. Or the chance to get staked on an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You could be one lucky step.
Okay, what movie is that? You really must know what this is.
Unnervingly like one of the sex call line ads from the 90s, didn't it?
What
bring
movie
back
is this from, folks? Somebody. Okay, you must know what.
Terminator.
Some robot movie.
Some robot movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Bring back big hair.
Alice in
Bring
Wonderland
back
or something.
gratuitous female nudity, please. Expressly saying female nudity. Keep your dignity, gentlemen. Keep your dignity, and bring back the heroes and the heroines for us, please. So, yes, movies aren't what they used to be. Maybe they'll get there in the end. You know, we've got these newfangled streaming platforms now making their own movies. Some of them even go into cinemas, depending on how confident they are in them. Amazon are big contenders when it comes to this stuff. So I'm not sure how confident they are in their latest aberration, shall we? Shall we call it? No, I've seen some great movies.
Like a new season of Lord of the Rings.
I've seen some great movies from Amazon on their platform, but I have to say it's been a while now since one really piqued my interest and delivered. I think it's probably been 2 or 3 years. And this one, I don't think this is going to cut the mustard at all. You've probably seen the conversation around it when they put out the trailer for a movie called G20, an Amazon movie. Ian, you've got to Ian, I wasn't sure if Ian was going to make it to the show, so I hadn't briefed him on what we're going to be talking about. So this is an Amazon original movie that's coming later this year. It's coming in April. And it's
nothing original about this.
Oh, God.
I'd rather have a Wervis original, mate.
So in G20, the Academy Award-winning actress Viola Davis plays an action-ready, No nonsense.
Academy Award-winning
US.
actress Viola Davis has a very large tax bill she needs to cover quickly.
She's the president, isn't she? In this film?
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. So she plays a no-nonsense, action-ready U.S. president, and they've put out a trailer for this movie, directed by Patricia Reagan. It's called G20, and the synopsis says that Danielle Sutton is the U.S. president, and she must defend her family, fellow leaders, and the world when the G20 summit in Cape Town, South Africa, is taken over by terrorists.
They really thought Kamala was going to win, didn't they?
They did indeed.
You know what? I honestly think that's the upshot of it. Obviously, the wokies are melting down right now, aren't they? For one reason or another, they're still not taking the news well. They're still not taking it well. But this film's coming out anyway, and I do wonder, John, was this film meant to come out maybe later in the summer, and they've rushed it through as quick as they can, knowing that it's going to age like cheese in the light of the fact that she didn't fucking win.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris is right. This was meant to be a victory movie that would come out later in the summer. Now, all I would say to you, I watched this trailer earlier in the week, and I can suspend my disbelief quite a long way, being a sci-fi fan. But seeing her waddle her fat ass across the floor shooting at terrorists, it's gone a step too far for me. It's just not. It's just. I think the parody.
What do you think the odds are this wasn't in some way financed by the American government covertly? As one of the things.
Well, not even covertly. Look at how much stuff they did finance. That came out last week. Holy crap! So yeah, this was financed.
They've even got a duplicate Macron to star in the film as well. It just looks like Emmanuel Macron. And they've clearly gone to a lot of work at getting people to look like officials from around the world.
Poster as well. She looks quite hot in this, but in the movie itself, she looks. I think the polite word that we're supposed to use is thick. THIC.
And I think actually, Marvel should sue because there's a sequence right out of Captain America: The Winter Soldier in the elevator where she fights off how many different terrorists stuck in an elevator. I'm still not convinced this is not a Saturday Night Live skit.
Isn't there a line? Isn't there a line that somebody says you're not Captain America or something like that?
Yeah, there is.
I would actually be, the only way I'd be interested in seeing this movie, and I'm dead serious, is if this was a Tyler Perry movie with Medea. Same setup, but have Medea be the one who's fighting the terrorists. I'd watch that.
Just do a reshoot. I find it funny that Amazon is such a crap streaming service. Like, my God. And it's the only one that I'm stuck subscribing to because I go for the shipping.
That's why it's a crap streaming service.
Oh,
it's entirely why.
But they take it to a whole. The only thing that they've had on that streaming service that I found watchable was Fallout. But I gave up on their movies about a year ago. They put out this movie called Totally Killer. It was like it
was all right.
It was Back to the Future horror.
Yeah, it was all right.
It's some of it.
Fun. It was fun.
But the gist of the movie was the girl that plays Sabrina goes back into the past, specifically 1987 to when her parents were young. So the idea was good, but what's laughable about it is Sabrina spends the entire movie getting triggered and lecturing everybody in 1987 about what was bad. Yes, it's actually to the point it's so over the top and not done ironically that it's worth watching for that alone. There's they put out another movie on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the same concept, but even worse.
Yeah.
So this is.
But I thought this film could have worked, but if they were clever about it, do you know what I mean? Turning her into Rambo or James
they already
Bond,
do White House Down,
right? They could have been much more clever about it. She could have taken them out cleverly rather than with a gun, or you know what I mean? Using her brain, you know.
This is not Harrison Ford Air Force One.
That's the thing. We have seen this kind of movie before, haven't we, Chris? You're quite right. Air Force One in particular, those Olympus Has Fallen movies with, is it Jamie Foxx that stars in those?
No, that was the
White
House Down, wasn't it? Yeah.
I bet you.
I'm getting mixed up, aren't I?
I bet you any money that there's probably a quote in there from Kamala Harris where she's about to shoot someone. She goes, "You're now unburdened from what has been."
Well, there was a scene in the trailer. There's a scene in the trailer where she's in a car and she's dressed exactly and with a hair styled exactly like Kamala Harris's.
Yeah. And also, I mean, full credit to them, because this is the only film where I'm actually cheering on the terrorists.
But this is the thing, you see. The cleaner's coming out as well with Daisy Ridley, and that's kind of similar, isn't it? Like Die Hard.
She's young,
really?
Yeah, exactly.
Really an action star?
At least she's young.
She wasn't even a convincing fucking Jedi. She didn't even scare me with fucking magic powers.
At least she's young and in good shape.
Oh
so
no,
if
what's she gonna do?
If she was to be squeezing herself through air ducts or scaling roofs, I may believe she could physically do that. This old bird, with due respect to her, because I do think that Viola Davis is a good actress. Just why the hell is she doing this shit?
Money.
She needs to pay.
And she's playing it, exactly the same way that she does. What is it, Amanda Waller in those Suicide Squad movies? It looks like the exact same character.
So Gary, what will happen is it's a crucial time for that character in that universe. So what will happen if people actually do see this atrocity is that it could end up devaluing the work that she's doing with DC Studios on a character that's being quite nicely built.
She doesn't have a choice.
Yeah,
honestly, I don't think it. This movie seems to be something made by the agency. If you know what I mean.
But when they made that one with Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx, you can see the trend, right? These films are lifeless films, but
they're both likable people, though.
Yeah, but they have stars. Yeah, they have stars in it that you recognize. So when you're flicking and looking at the boxes, you go, "Oh, that's Cameron Diaz. I better watch. Let me watch that then." Other than an unknown on the box, do you know what I mean? And obviously, people know who she is, and holding a gun like that, she'd probably be on the box as well. So people might just, even if they tune in for 5 minutes, I think it counts as a view. So that's what it's all about these days. It's not about the content.
I guess this would be good if you get a bunch of buddies over, like on a Friday night with some pizza and some beer, and just goof on it for 2 hours. That could be.
I just really hope that they nick a line from Wesley Snipes, Passenger 57, and goes, always bet on black.
Well, the funny thing is, this is obviously a Die Hard ripoff. And we just had a really good Die Hard ripoff with Carry On right before Christmas.
Yeah, I like that.
Which I've watched it twice. I think it's one of the best Netflix films I've ever seen.
It is.
And and it starred a white dude, so it must be canceled. But yeah, I didn't hear about this until Dan sent me the link, and I actually thought it was a parody. I'm like, they can't be serious. Oh my God, they're serious. This is sad.
They are serious. But I tell you what, I'll probably go and see The Cleaner, but I won't watch this, or maybe I might watch it. I don't know, for a laugh.
And there's going to be a lot of lines in this that knock America. I guarantee you.
Well, Trump.
There's no way I'm going to go see this or The Cleaner.
Well,
I'm going to see The Cleaner, mate. I'm definitely going to see The Cleaner.
Really? Why don't you just put your finger up your ass? Wouldn't that be easier?
Given
what Gary's just said, and the undoubted truth to the fact, the reality, this film would have had a best before date, a used by date, perilously near. Do you think that they may have nipped it here and there to make to maybe so it didn't hit quite so on the head, John?
Probably.
I think it's also telling as well that this week, it's been announced by Amazon that they, like Disney, are also pulling back from the DEI initiative. So they are going down the same route as Disney. They are basically getting rid of it because Trump and co have basically said, you do this or we're coming after you. So this is get it out as quick as possible. We know it's going to be crap, but we're going to put it out there. And I also think that if you're Jennifer Solke, the head of Amazon Studios,
oh God, what a stupid movie!
You're called into a meeting and they go, okay, give us your show reel of what you've achieved over the last few years. And then she starts rolling out, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, and then G20, as an example. You're like, so how are you still working for us?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to go, Jennifer. How do you think it's going?
I think it's going great.
It's between her and Kathleen Kennedy, so who is the most shittest woman in Hollywood?
Well,
Right?
one destroyed
know.
one destroyed 3 franchises, and the other one is just, everything that's come out on the last 5 years in Amazon. Although Amazon, it's mostly original terrible properties, like awful.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd like to fill out a survey form for this movie.
Well, how long can it can't be long.
Go watch it.
It can't be long before he puts a stop to all of this somewhere.
Oh, please, Lord, please.
But me being the wet blanket, here's also a word of warning, because we don't want things to go in the other direction either.
No.
So what I want is no agenda in my entertainment.
Yeah, just
none at all.
Tell me a story. Entertain me.
Exactly. We don't want it to go to the point where everything is like, MAGA movement is great. I don't want to see that either. No. I don't want to see the extreme right or the extreme left. They're both actually equally terrible. Give me something good. Bring me back to like 2015. Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. And 2015 is an odd sort of when we were looking at film history a few years from now. 2015 will be an interesting case study because it was the last year before everything went to absolute hell. And I'm watching Jurassic World. It's not great. The CG, even for the time, some of it's a little wonky, but there was heart in there. But the thing that I'm not used to anymore is there was no politics in it. Like
make it for normal people.
But by the time the second one comes out, we've got SJW girl and it's politics all over the place. I'm like, I want to go. Okay, so give me go back to 2015. Just up the quality a little bit, but go to that when there was no politics, please. Thank you.
And you know that the pitch for this movie, all it was Kamala Harris is John McClane.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's very, very evident from the trailer, the posters. Everything is so so on the nose.
Well, to be fair, Kamala.
If somebody was to say to me, this is the kind of spoof you used to get on the French and Saunders show, John, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. And to be fair, Kamala's out of work now, so she could probably star in the sequel herself, couldn't she? Really, just as a menial cleaner to come in and say,
I bet there was some sort of cameo from her in this that they've had to cut. Playing some other dignitary somewhere.
If I were Viola Davis doing the chat show circuit, I would say I thought this was a parody.
What was that other? What was that other terrible girl boss movie she was in? The one that got raked over the coals maybe 2 years ago.
About the slave one.
Yeah, and
right.
The one that even the original actress, which was
I forgot about that.
Everyone forgot about it.
Yeah.
Viola Davis is an actress. Viola Davis is an actress that I do like, and I think that people sort of, I think her significance, her importance, her abilities kind of being overstated simply because of her race and her gender. I think that does her.
She had one good TV show. She had the one good TV show.
It was that sort of murder mystery one, wasn't it?
How to Get Away with Murder. But it was, I think with that one, it was the concept of the show, mainly the first season, that made it good. I don't know if it was the creation of
Sondra. That was Sondra Rhimes, who went on to create Bridgerton, and I know that show is considered to be generally pretty good. But as well as that, she was in Syriana, the George Clooney movie, The Help, the Michael Mann thriller Black Hat. So she's been in some good movies, and you see her in this sort of stuff. You think it's going to pull her down. You think, well, being in Taken didn't hurt Liam Neeson, but the difference was that was a good film made by a reputable director.
Dan, I would beat you on that. I think it did because Liam Neeson has been making the same goddamn movie ever since. He's got literally. There's another one that's the same movie.
That's a fair point.
But also Viola Davis, I have no idea why they're trying to turn her into an action star. She's not. Like there's miscasting, and like this is hilarious on all the wrong levels, or maybe at ours. It's like, yeah,
She's brilliantly cast, in my view, as Amanda Waller in the DC movies, and bringing her over from the Snyder ones into the new ones. To me, it's a canny move, in the same way that re-employing Judi Dench to play M in the Daniel Craig Bond movies after playing the same character before was also a canny move. You think, well, if you're going to spend the next year trying to find somebody who's as good as Viola Davis, why not just cast Viola Davis again? It's absolutely fine. But I do think that with the Amanda Waller series to come as well on Max, this terrible film could take that character down with her. It depends how many people bother seeing G20 or recognize that it's the same woman. Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad Task Force X integral part of DC. If they haven't shot the
Amanda Waller show yet, it's in question now.
It's funny.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
TV is changing it. TV and obviously films are. It's like, I'm sorry to say, but it's cinema's done for. Really, let's face it. A lot of people don't go to cinema, but with TV again, right? In the old days, they could, well, I don't know how they could tell, but when you watched the show, you watched all of it. Today, all you have to watch is 5 minutes, and it's counted as a view, and that's what they're all counting on now. That's
right, exactly.
So it's very different now.
I would say my counter argument. I wouldn't say cinema is dead. I think there is a future. I think it's a small future, which is a fraction of what it is now. What I'm hoping for, and I have very little hope for many things, but what I would like to see is go back to the small 1 or 2 screen
independence.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have no desire to go see big budget movies at the theater. I go to sleep because they're all exactly the same. I want to go back to like 30 years ago when we're watching Seven or something like that at the theater. Give me that again. I'd be very happy. It'd be like vinyl. It'd be a novelty.
Yeah,
I would like to see cinema used for it to be big, like Tarantino does that. Like for it to be shot on like a 70mm screen, and that's what it should really be used for. Smaller experimental movies should be funded by streaming.
Rabbi,
he actually said. Sorry, go ahead, Dan. Go on.
Well, given what Chris has just said, Rabbi, to this sort of point, really. Me saying I think Viola Davis, I think she's at a crucial point in her career. I think she'll do very, very nicely with her Oscar and her multiple nominations. She's got her own film production company as well. She's going to be fine. She co-owns that with her husband. She's going to be absolutely fine whether this fails or not. But are we forgetting, I think, that big stars have, in the 80s, even in the 80s and the 90s, you'd have big stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Stallone or whatever. They make a couple of really big films, or a couple of performances that people love them in. Tom Hanks is another example, and then they'd make a couple of stinkers like Joe versus the Volcano, and it'd be But then the next film or the film after that, they'd be back on top again. They'd got a Forrest Gump or they'd got a Copland or whatever. And is this simply a modern day version of that, and we're just really oversensitized to it? I mean, in all seriousness, trying to be Chris?
Oh no! I was just going to say, I think, Dan, we're in a different time. In the 80s, 90s, and even 2000s, you had your Bruce Willis vehicle, your Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicles. It would be, But the difference between then and now, and why this doesn't really translate, is there was a mystique around movie stars because we didn't have social media. You just had what you're being fed on Entertainment Tonight. We didn't know what they thought about things, and we didn't want to know what they thought about things. I think they can, like Arnold Schwarzenegger can, he could make T2, then he could have Last Action Hero, which was a complete dud. Then he'll come back with, True Lies, then another dud like Junior. And then he could come back.
See what I'm saying? It's a fair comparison.
Yeah, but I think the difference is back then we would be more forgiving because we didn't have contempt for these people. Again, because we didn't know what they were saying all the time. Whereas now the movie star is dead and social media killed the movie star. The only ones that you can still call movie stars are older movie stars that don't post on social media. I think you'll find there's a correlation there. But I think now we have so much hatred of celebrity. And I think it's justified hatred of celebrity because we found out what these people are actually like. I think we're now much more unforgiving because you have, say you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, you'd see him, his curated interviews on Entertainment Tonight. And it was a positive depiction of him. You don't want to watch some of the more adult-oriented things, but we didn't have the interweb back then, so we're more forgiving of something like Last Action Hero or Junior, because we don't actually hate the actor, we just hated the film. But now, and it's ingrained in society, especially after the last 5 years. Just look at how Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis managed to completely tank a movie. Now we have hatred of celebrity, where I think having a celebrity, at least of the younger persuasion, I think that's detrimental to your movie. So we're not going to forgive Viola Davis of having something like this because we hate celebrities. It's like, okay, Arnold will find his feet again. Bruce Willis will find his feet again. Somebody's movie tanks. I'm like, good for you, you son of a...
And we've got long memories, haven't we? Particularly when the tickets, certainly in Britain, the ticket prices now are silly. If you've spent a big chunk of money seeing some terrible movie, or you've rented it, because Amazon, some of this stuff you have to pay for. Oh God, it's money I'm never going to get back. Colin Archer reminds us of The Woman King from a couple of years ago. This is no Air Force One, says Stephen Braddock. Stephen's gone off and watched the trailer based on this conversation and asks, are we actually supposed to take this film seriously? I don't see how we can.
No.
Tell you the truth. Lucy here says the movie was announced. Lucy says the movie was announced in 2022, and picks up on that point. They clearly thought that Kamala was going to take over half of the initial presidency.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't seen the full film yet. You'll probably have a scene in there where Biden's asleep in a chair. So,
of some old man. yeah. But Tarantino said that they asked him, so you're retired, are you never going to make a film? And he goes, even if he isn't retired, what's the point of making a film? He goes, to make a film it's unproductive. You make the film and it stays in the cinema for 2 weeks and then it's on streaming. How is he going to benefit from that? He was saying. Yeah. And now he's thinking of doing a play now. Do you know what I mean? He's so pissed off with the whole way things are going.
He's been in love with cinema his entire life. Yeah, that's quite sobering, Ian. I hadn't heard.
Well, I think, Ian, one thing that I kind of hope with when it comes to movies is something similar to, what happened with vinyl. And I didn't get in. I'm a music fan, but I sold all my CDs, didn't get into collecting vinyl because my movie collection bankrupts me enough. But I'm hoping that what happens with movies is when it comes to some of the smaller stuff, it's similar to what happened with vinyl, where it's a small but very dedicated fan base. I'd even find some way to make actual 35 mil film affordable, because I'd like to see this stuff shot on film where we can have that actual art again. So what I'm hoping is we can go back where we have these small things, and I think horror is a perfect example of somewhere where this could be done successfully, because they're typically done for about 5 million anyway. Yeah, and so the way you have the hipsters go to their record shops and they buy everything on vinyl, but they're a small proportion of maybe 5% of the music consuming public. I'd like to see something like that with theaters, where you go back to the small theaters. Maybe it's only 5 to 10% of those of us that consume media, but something that's affordable, done on a smaller scale just for us. That's what I want to see. And the good thing about lower budget independent movies, one of the many reasons why I prefer horror, is because the budgets are so small, you don't have big name actors. I find when I see something current with a big name actor, I'm turned off to it, where I'll pick up, some movie I've never heard of before from Walmart. I have no idea who these actors are.
I'm very much getting to that place. I like it. It's different if you see a couple of reliable or interesting character actors in the margins. But if something's top-lined by somebody now, there's very little cachet in it for me. And this is a prime example. I think I'd feel the same whether it was on the big screen in the cinema or on the TV. But G20 will stream on Prime Video for us all. It's an Easter treat there, 10th of April, 2025. From Amazon Prime, Ian, what I can say is, you could get a pizza, get your mates round, or get pissed and watch this stuff. I think we all know where that's got to go, right, Sid? Yeah, only one place. And Amazon, if you're listening from Amazon, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Reacher is nearly back, everybody. So I'm sure Reacher will tide them over for a little while for real action fans and real heroes. Bring them all back, of course.
Boom.
This is the Spacebook Live. We'll be talking all out there entertainment, movies, TV, streaming, all of pop culture is fair game for us here on the panel. Thank you for the comments so far. Another story to get into before we wrap up. We've had some great comments, and we've been joined too by other people. So Retro Trev is in the live chat as well. I've just seen Trev join us, and a few other people pop up to say hello as well as things sort of take flight. Really, a moment ago we talked about heroes and heroines for that matter, and old school heroism, and movie stars too. Do you need a movie star to sell a film now, or should we start creating more movie stars? Like what's his name, Glenn Powell from the Top Gun Maverick movie. You know, he's Sydney Sweeney. These are people who seem to be more famous, I suppose, in the classic sense of what a movie star used to be. We know very little about them. Maybe their cup size that's pretty personal, I know, but we don't know everything about their politics. There does seem to be a new generation coming through, and
Dan, I'll tell you why people like Sydney Sweeney, other than the obvious, which Rabbi could tell us all about. But I think what I found to like about Sydney Sweeney is she actually comes off as a genuine. Especially in the way she was obviously trashing Madam Web, and she starred in Madam Web to actually do a lower budget horror movie that was sort of in her contract. It was called
Makes interesting choices, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she
no makeup, no nothing in that. She just wanted to do a genuine movie. So I think they're rare, but there are still cases of I think people like the 5% that are genuine people, and I think Madam Web actually, in a completely unintended way, helped the careers of everybody that was in that movie, because they were all obviously treating it as a complete joke and not trying to swallow this stuff, which is why I think Madam Web is already technically a cult classic.
No, it's not.
I think that's your difference.
No, it's not.
In terms of bad movies,
oh, God, it's awful.
Exactly, but bad movies become cult classics because they're
they can do. People sort of
The Room. Yeah.
Even Bob Wire has got a certain following now after all this time.
On Amazon, it did, or on Netflix when it came out, because everybody was watching it ironically.
Yeah.
So I think there's, it's. I don't think the movie was woke. I think it was just an absolute disaster. But I think it's an unexpected triumph, and I think 15 years from now they'll have Madam Web watch parties, because based on what I've seen, it is one of the worst movies ever made. The dialogue is just beyond awkward. It's like it was written not by an alien AI. It's shot in a way that doesn't make any sense. You can tell nobody in the movie, while they were shooting it, they all knew what they were in, which adds to the hilarity. So I think
I'll probably watch it at some point, but I have noticed, particularly lately, how times are changing, and sort of the kaleidoscope is kind of turning on some of these movies, which were, if not flops back in the day, were films that were kind of mentioned with pursed lips and sharpened pencils from reviewers, whether it's from the geek press or from the broader media, when they talked about them. Films that have been loathed for 20, 30 years being reappraised or let in from the cold, and which does lead us very nicely into this next item.
The legend of He-Man continues in the Masters of the Universe movie with Blade, the slashing blaze of terror. With Sauron, Skeletor's evil lieutenant with a mouthful of lightning. Can they catch Gwildor before his cosmic key enables him to escape? Now, you can live the adventure with Sauron, Gwildor, and Blade.
I've waited a long time for this.
Figures sold separately from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Oh, can't wait. My 4K set is coming soon. Looking forward to it. Love that
See
film.
what I mean? It's now in a film that people hated for years, is now coming out, re-released, all lavish and all jazzed up and all the rest of it. But Masters of the Universe back in the 80s was one of the most lucrative lines of toys, comics, wallpaper, duvet covers, everything. It was an intellectual property before we knew what that meant. It was kind of made up as they went along too. The cartoon series produced by Filmation, the iconic Filmation studio. They knocked up about 100 odd episodes of that in the end, like fairly cheap and cheerful stuff, all with a message that's really endured. I used to play that series to my kids. There was the action figures too, which everybody had these. It's why they're so difficult to find in one piece, because I think they got beaten up so much, and all those little accessories got lost, didn't they? But the icons, the iconography, the catchphrases, it's all survived throughout these decades. And talk of further adaptations of this, particularly for the big screen, have never gone away. I think it's been 25 years since the first one I paid any attention to or took seriously. It's because John Woo was attached to it. And at the time, John Woo was Flavour of the Month. He'd worked with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage and various other people around that time. So it was very exciting. But John Woo ended up being just the first of several directors attached to a proper new Masters of the Universe movie who would sort of come and go. It became a bit of a revolving door, which immensely frustrated dedicated fans of what they call Motu, because people feel that this should be on the big screen. In fact, it probably should have been 10 years ago or so. It's one of those stories which I've kind of refused to report on, like the Highlander movie. Too much talk over too long a period of time, too many people attached, they're not attached. My philosophy has always been, let me know when they start filming. They've now started filming on a new Masters of the Universe film this very week. It seems to have actually happened quite quickly. We had some casting announcements about a week and a half ago, and I nearly covered that then. And we dropped it for another item. But I don't think we can really drop this any further, because they seem they've got the power, they've got the gear, they've got some footage, we've got some pictures, they've got their man, they've got their He-Man. So this is the actor, Nicholas Galazatine. He plays Prince Adam and He-Man. When he was announced a little while ago, people just couldn't see it, including me. I had no idea who this guy was. He's been in a few films that people seem to have liked, but none of them have been genre films. Does seem to have a bit of star quality. Here he is with Anne Hathaway in a movie from last year. And I thought, well, him as He-Man? Really? But he's also one of these sort of brand ambassadors for Armani. So when you see pictures like this, you think, I can probably see that. I can probably imagine this guy as He-Man now. It's starting to come together. But, John, you're a child of the 80s and of this brand. As you say, you're clearly a fan of the original film as well. You can see why I've been so reluctant to believe this will even happen.
Yeah, I mean, I love He-Man. I've got the sets. I adore it. It was my childhood coming in from school, and this was, I had to watch it. It was that good. But brilliant! Yeah, superb. But I've seen the images this week, and all I can say is incoming dumpster fire.
I don't even look at the images. I can tell you that.
Not that bad.
I've got the images. I've got the images right here, because the only character we see so far is actually Nicholas Galazatine.
And I'll explain
I'm
why.
I'm gonna have to pronounce this. So we haven't got anything other than a few images of the lead actor in the lead role so far. Filming is happening in London under director Travis Knight, and this is what we have so far. Out in public, there he is, playing with his
sword.
Yeah, I'm gonna just stay safe, and getting apprehended there by the fuzz. Looks a bit sheepish, and being led away somewhere too, very unhappy.
Okay, so anyway, is this like a Barbie movie in which like the toy becomes into the real world?
No, I mean, I'll finish what I was going to say. I mean, the reason I say this, guys, is going to be a dumpster fire is, firstly, the thing that I do like about it is that sword is an exact replica of the cartoon series.
Yeah.
Which I do like. But,
fantastic.
But again, I want a He-Man movie on Eternia. Okay? Yeah. Eternia. And the trouble you've got with this, I'm getting, and I've heard a few things. I'm getting the vibe that he is effectively
I've got the synopsis.
He's living on Earth, and then he's going to end up on Eternia, and it's that fish out of water kind of thing. And it's like
I've got the synopsis here, John. This is what's been released so far. 10-year-old Prince Adam crash lands on Earth, separating him from his power sword. 2 decades later, he takes his sword back and takes on the mantle of He-Man as he battles for his home planet against the evil forces of Skeletor.
He looks very young.
Clearly, there is that where he is from another place, gets stranded on the Earth. So he is going to be a child of 2 domains. I mean, you're the guy who's just admitted that you've got the original film on pre-order, which is kind of similar. It's like Earth-based.
It's the same thing, just the story reversed. Like that's why everybody hated that movie, because it's like, we want He-Man, we don't want He-Man on Earth.
Yeah.
Well, it was because budgetly, it was budget, wasn't it? They couldn't afford to do it. They couldn't afford those effects. That's why they did it on Earth.
Here's the sad thing.
Bear in mind, this is just the tiniest. This is the tiniest bit of filming. From what we've heard, most of this movie is going to be set on Eternia, just because this is being filmed.
It's still a terrible idea.
I'm going to full disclosure. I'm really excited by this. The total opposite reaction to you, John. I think this looks fantastic, and not just the accuracy of the prop, but the actor himself. I don't know. This just feels right and at the right time with what's happening globally with franchises, as we've just discussed, where people are kind of pivoting back to profit and recognizing that there's worth in a lot of this stuff. I've got a really good feeling about this.
But I think, Dan, the trouble I've got with it is you don't need to have him growing up, on Earth for a certain bit of time, and then goes.
You don't need to, no, but isn't it? It's viable.
I think
it's a mainstream film.
My opinion on it is the world is crying out at the moment for an escapism fantasy sci-fi movie where you haven't got to worry about modern day or all these cobblers. You can just go there. You're in Eternia. He's lived there. Skeletor has risen. There's a fight coming up. Let's go for it, but it's always, we've got to go to Earth. We've got to start on Earth, and it's terrible.
I recognize that frustration, but I think when you're looking at a film that is so mainstream and has such a potentially enormous audience, just like the Transformers movies. If you'd have set the Transformers movies on Cybertron, and I know the cartoon wasn't set on, but if you'd have set, like, if you're talking about a race of aliens on planet Zog for 2.5 hours, that's a really difficult sell. I think now and again it works. I think Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth, that worked. But that was quite a tough sell. That was really ambitious. And I think it worked because of the literacy of it.
Because it was so intricate. It was such a beautiful world that they.
Whereas Rabbi, this is, and this is in no way an attempt to devalue it. This is Masters of the Universe. It's a toy box made real. It's the insides of a toy box made real. And whilst I do think we should respect these icons and have big ambitions for them, believe in them, I think we should also accept why they've endured, why we like them in the first place, and why kids do continue to go back to them. And it is because there's a simplicity to that, which does involve partly them playing with those toys in their living room. And I think that's what this could line up.
Dan, I mean, the Masters of the Universe brand is not doing well at the moment. I mean, the Netflix series, did help tank it a lot as well because it was awful. But I think there's two things.
The blessing there is that so few people, even people who watched it back then, including me, a lot of people have forgotten it. There's dust that's gathered on that. Not so much in our space here, particularly on YouTube. We've got long memories, but a lot of the general public didn't watch it. There's a new generation of kids coming along now. I think the time, personally, I don't think that'll influence it at all. I think it'll be fine.
I think that time has gone where Masters of the Universe is going to be big success. And that upsets me because I love it. But I would also say there's two things I could say to you is I've heard that apparently Fisto is in the movie.
Fisto is in the film.
So Fisto is back. You'll be pleased to know, Rabbi.
Who's Fisto? I fill me in.
Fisto's a guy that has a big fist.
That's Fisto.
which I referred to you the other week was your perfect character for the universe.
Yeah, that's there's Fisto. We have a list. We have a list of the characters that they're adapting into this. I mean, I know that some of us weren't of the generation of the Masters of the Universe generation, and we talked about the passing of the voice actor a couple of weeks ago, and you said, Rabbi, this wasn't really your thing. You were slightly too old for it at the time.
Yeah.
So it's gonna play better for some of us than others, but it's significance. The fact that it does keep coming around. There's been 4 or 5 animated series now, most of which have been successful. I think that does sort of count for a lot. I mean, what excites me, what reassures me is the realization, the relief that they seem to have got the right guy. And realistically, as they found out with that Netflix show, they didn't have He-Man in it at all. They went completely ridiculous with him. He was in the first episode and then gone. If you don't get the right actor to play this role, who can make you believe that he is He-Man or Prince Adam, like Batman with Bruce Wayne and Batman, you have to believe they are both people. I think this guy, by the look of this and the nod to the animated show there with the clothes, I don't know. This just feels like. I mean, there's no guarantees, obviously, but I just feel like the time could be right. It's like with Superman, the time could be right. Nicholas Galazatine leads the cast as Prince Adam and He-Man. He's joined by Jared Leto playing Skeletor, which is obviously just as important a character culturally because he's the one plastered on more T-shirts than He-Man, isn't he?
I think one of the problems with He-Man specifically is there are some animated franchises that I just don't think translate well to live action. And I think He-Man is that was one of the problems with the canon movie, other than the no budget and the fact that they set it on Earth. It'd be like if you tried making a Thundercats movie, which I've seen concept art and it looks terrifying, like just AI art. But I think He-Man, if they wanted to do an animated movie. I think that's what people want. I don't think it's going to translate well. And there was
a very good point.
Yeah. Well, also
look, the problem is that the source material just isn't rich enough. It was designed to excite 8-year-old boys. Like He-Man. It's all about male fantasy.
I think that's the line I was trying to draw. Because Lord of the Rings is so dense and so rich and so literate.
That you could build a world with.
You could 9 or 10 hours, but with this, you can make a good 100-minute movie which upends that toy chest, all the action figures, and you can play with them in your mind or literally. And maybe you can do like the Transformers movies. Like the Transformers movies, maybe you can make a second or third or fourth. Maybe you can make multiple of these, but it's largely going to be based around the same conceit because it is what it is. It's Masters of the Universe. It's not. I think as long as you realize those domains when they go to Eternia, and I'm sure they're going to go to Eternia in a big way. We're going to get to a list of characters. That's got to be fucking jaw dropping. And they've now got the money. They've now got the money, and they've got. And when they get the right creatives, if you get the right creative, just like Peter Jackson had for Middle Earth, or Michael Bay with that. The numerous creatives, like them or loathe them, some of them, when they connect with the right material and get it right, then you end up with something special of enormous cultural significance. And that could happen with this.
I don't think they have got the right director though, and I think, like I say, we'll see when it comes out. But I just think it's, for me personally, it's not the right time. I think that time is gone for He-Man and Masters of the Universe. I like the fact that they've managed to get body positivity police officer in the.
Yeah,
in
I was
the
about
movie.
to know that.
I'm not going to write off a whole film for one piece of.
No, but there's going to be some
transient cast.
We'll have to see what happens.
Ooh, this is the actual cast of Masters of the Universe that we know of so far. So yeah, as well as Galzatine and Jared Leto, Camila Mendes plays Tila. There, I've seen her in something else. Stunning look. She's certainly got the eyebrows. Alison Brie, who I've had a crush on for about 15 years, from Community and Glow, is playing Evil.
I'm sorry, that's really good. She was from Mad Men, right?
Mad Men,
no,
that's
she was
the other
from
show.
Community.
Yeah,
And check
her
out
doing Evil Lynn is going to be awesome.
check
she's
out
in Mad
Glow.
Men.
Okay,
That was their other.
that just really interested me.
She's in her early 40s now, so exactly the right time to take on a role like this and have some fun with it and sort of vamp it up a little bit.
Well, she's
That's pretty
Rabbi.
cool.
Watch Glow. She plays a wrestler. It's on Netflix.
Right. I always wanted to watch that every time it's good.
Fantastic series. So far, I think so good. It goes on with Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms. Obviously, that's Tila's father, isn't it? In the lore, Sam C. Wilson plays Trapjaw. Bear, another favourite character of I think my brother really loved that character in particular. James Purefoy, haven't seen him in anything for a little while. The British character actor. He plays King Randor. That's Prince Adam's dad, isn't it? And I don't know who that guy is. Triclops. I can't remember Triclops. I think his head can spin around and he can see different ways, can't it? And that's Kojo Atta who plays Triclops in this. So again, an interesting selection of actors. I only know the two gentlemen on the left, neither of which put me off. In fact, it's great to see James Purefoy back in something.
Although you can see, looking at this now, I've never seen a better example of toy product placement. When you look at the characters, it worked though, because I'm sure I had all of them. I'm pretty sure everybody here on the stream had all of them.
Do you think they'll put Stinko in it?
Oh, yeah, and you could actually smell the action
Orca.
figure Stinko.
You could. And it smelled like, was it like rotting feces or something?
We've all got our favourite characters that we'd want to see in this. I suppose there has to be a limit, because obviously in that film back in '87, I went to see that in the cinema, and most of my favourite characters weren't there. And the ones that were looked nothing like. No announcement for Orko so far. We do have more. Yeah, that's Man-at-Arms there. I think Idris Elba is fantastic casting.
No. In the 80s version, they had Man of Arms in that one, I believe.
They did. They did. In the there was the second movie that was canceled where they were going to have the characters. But if you've ever seen Cyborg with Van Damme, that is basically Masters of the Universe 2, because they lost their license to Mattel. They had all the costumes and sets built for Masters of the Universe 2, so they went ahead and made Cyborg. So if you want to see what Masters of the Universe 2 would have looked like, watch Cyborg. It was put out by Screen Factory back when they still gave a shit. So it's worth a watch just for that alone.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
They're going to announce more, we've been promised, but for now, the last names that we had announced quite recently were Charlotte Riley, who's going to be playing Queen Marlena. That is He-Man's biological mother, I think. And Marina Baccarin, I can never pronounce her name, is playing the Sorceress of Castle Grayskull, the all-important character. I'm not really seeing anything I don't like here. Again, there's some really hot women in this cast, and some interesting things, some bold ideas. Who'd have thought they'd try and put a character like Trapjaw on screen, for example? But the Sorceress, obviously, that's going to be very ambitious, isn't it? To realise that.
It's when they've actually tricked us. We find out in the movie that Jared Leto is actually playing Evil Lynn.
Oh no, John! What did you say that for?
Is this for the cinema or is this for streaming?
This is
cinema.
Well,
cinema?
It's being made by Amazon, I think.
Dear.
But it's for the cinema. So it's got numerous studios involved.
Captain America will probably be on Disney Plus in about a month. Right, it's not going to do anything next week.
We're seeing this quite a lot now, where Amazon are involved with theatrical films. I think Netflix are getting involved with them as well. There's something coming up with Chris Pratt at the end of next month, I think, which is going to cinema. But and we saw that at Christmas, didn't we, with the Rock movie, the Christmas film?
Okay, no, that
went to the cinema.
In the cinema, and then it did quite well on Amazon, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Amazon, yeah.
Because, look, there's no way in a million years I'm going to sit down and see Captain America, Winter Soldier, whatever it is, the new one. But I will check it out on Disney Plus because I got that anyway. And if it doesn't stink, I'll sit through it. Right? It's got to the point. I'm not going to put money on it. So say with this, if this is free, I'll check it out. You're not going to be to cinema to see this.
Miser.
So this is ambitious. to see the cast list filling up on this, I have to say, I feel it's safe to talk about it now. It's actually going to happen, and it doesn't look like it's going to be shit. Or is it just me? Over to you guys.
The casting, I think, is good.
That guy that playing He-Man, he looks like Macaulay Culkin, but older and
jacked.
He looks a bit like Macaulay Culkin, a bit. Don't you think? Or am I just not seeing something else?
No, I do see what you mean. I mean, he's I've never actually seen him in anything, and again, that's kind of how I like. When I was talking about movie stars a moment ago, this is what I think they should be doing: bringing through people who've got a certain charisma that we don't know them. They're a new generation, a new crop.
But
of,
do you think
heroes?
Do you think, Dan, that they are basically, so we remember He-Man because we grew up with He-Man when we were kids, right? But the audience today, the audience that they want, don't know He-Man. So I always find this puzzling, why they would think that this would be a big hit with the new generation who don't know He-Man and only just look at TikTok.
It's because as a brand, as a brand, it's persisted. The franchise has enormous amounts, even when there weren't any animated series being produced, and there's been animated series, there's been a lot of them.
Yeah.
Even when that hasn't happened, it has this enormous mimetic energy around it. So I have the power, for example, that catchphrase, that's just one example of the things from Masters of the Universe, which have, but everybody knows it, Ian.
Not everyone.
I'm being serious. Everybody knows this stuff.
Really?
Memes of in that
a meme, sure.
Listen to me.
Not the show.
In that grey area, before the Kevin Smith show, before talk of the film resurfaced again, there was a real grey area where no one went near this. It was really dormant. But in that time, there were memes all over Facebook revolving around Skeletor and giving it, and it just kept Masters of the Universe kind of alive. And in that time, they were selling birthday cards with Skeletor on too. So it's always been there. And because they were flogging these at the dawn of the DVD age as well, you've got parents who've passed it on too. Do you see what I'm saying? So I am surprised. You would be surprised how big this still is.
But it doesn't mean to say that people are going to go and see
this. Well, there are never any guarantees.
I think it's I think it's over a certain age, it's well known.
I think cinema is in more of a precarious situation than the Masters of the Universe brand as a whole. Forget about silly Kevin Smith. The high-end action figures and collectibles they sell off this brand, the underpants and stuff for the kids and lunchboxes and flasks that they still sell off this brand. That second animated show that no fucker ever talks about, that was actually made for kids, supposed to be really good. Loads of kids love that shit. This is in better shape than you think.
I always judge it by my nieces and stuff like that, and they don't know who He-Man is, and they're the new generation. Yeah. No, and even some of my some of my nephews, they don't know who He-Man is either. So I don't know. You may be right. I think if they're going to make He-Man, they should make it for us. Basically,
they should make it. It's a lads and dads franchise. And have you noticed how few chicks there is in that cast list? There's just they've not sort of jammed it, and the ones that are there are fit as fuck. I think we should.
Yeah. They are.
That says a lot.
As F.
I mean, I am an optimistic person by nature, and I want this to succeed. Yes, I do. But as I say, I've held back on talking about it because I was doubtful it would even happen. Let alone, I was kind of dreading seeing the first pictures from this, John. But in the end, my reaction is the total opposite. And I'm really quite keen so far. I had to refresh my memory because it had changed so much as to who was actually going to be directing this thing. I won't labor on this for too long because I've only ever seen one of his things. So it's this guy. It's who ended up with it in the end was Travis Knight.
What's he done?
Now, he was primarily known for animated movies. So he's at Leica. He was responsible for the award-winning Kubo and the Two Strings and the Box Troll. So there's lots of great animated films from when my daughter was little. We were really into these kind of modern day fairy tales almost. Nice little movies that my family just loved. But he went to live action with the one Transformers movie that people seem to like. That's Bumblebee from around 6 years ago now.
Yeah, I like that
Haley
one.
Steinfeld was in it.
That was good.
People like this.
Yeah, I liked it.
And this was at a time when nobody, again, I'd say that when he made this movie, the Transformers brand, particularly in the cinema, was in a considerably less fit state than Masters of the Universe is now. And he kind of revived interest in it enough for other people to come in and fuck it up again.
Yeah, well, you got one good movie and then it turned to crap again. I think with Masters of the Universe, I think it could go either way. I tend to think that I think it's going to go to streaming. It may be originally intended for theaters, although they'll lie and say it was always intended for.
The last incarnation was supposed to be, I think it was still at Amazon then, but for a while it was at Netflix too. That was 4 or 5 years.
Kevin Smith's Disaster was at Netflix.
Yeah.
I think it's also. I think there's just the thing that it couldn't get over in 1987. I think regardless, it'll be the thing it can't get over now, which is translating from animated to live action. And the reverse has happened, like with Ghostbusters. I think this is similar to the issue Ghostbusters 2 faced back in '89. Obviously, Ghostbusters 1, '84, one of the greatest films ever made. But I think most of us grew up with it with the real Ghostbusters, the animated series. And I think that's part of what happened with Ghostbusters 2. It was a kind of a similar situation where we're so used to watching the cartoon and then we saw Ghostbusters 2. I'm like, where's Slimer? This isn't fun. So I think there's some properties that are just designed to be animated, don't translate well. Thundercats would be another one. It would be horrific. But I think with He-Man, I think this is meant to be animated. I don't think this is meant to be live action. And I don't even look at Masters of the Universe '87 as a He-Man movie. I just look at it as a piece of nostalgia.
I'm fond of the film because I was like 12, 13 when I saw it in the cinema with all my little friends. But I never think of it. I often forget that it's meant to be the same thing. This looks like
I've never seen it.
Actually, you know what would be more fun if they did a sequel to that movie with Dolph Lundgren as he is now like old.
There was talk about that for a little while.
And see what's going on with them now. That would be more fun than this.
That would make a good streaming show, I think. I mean, the premise of this so far, I do to sort of get a bit more sort of clear-headed about it. I do see your point, John, and I'm partly receptive to that. I got tired of that kind of starting point with fantasy, with genre movies in the 90s, because there was a lot of them. But now I don't. There's been any for a while, and I kind of like the purity of it. The premise of this, it reminds me a little of Guardians of the Galaxy and the Peter Quinn character, and it's also, strangely enough, Brad Boy, reminds me a little bit of the plot of Gladiator 2. If you've seen that, where the 10-year-old boy gets, where the 10-year-old,
fuck me, I hated that movie.
But where the 10-year-old boy gets driven away from his home to come back and sort of claim it under another identity and rail against some. I think Gladiator 2 was a fun movie, and in some respects.
Okay, the problem with Gladiator 2 was the guy who starred in it. He was like, who knows who it was? Some bloke.
Yes, I kind of agree.
A vacuum of charisma, whereas Russell Crowe was smouldering, right? This guy was like, and it was just a retread of the first one with weaker characters. Pedro Pascal I can't stand seeing. Stupid CGI, stupid bit thrown in, and Denzel Washington was awesome. Like whenever he was on screen, he's always great. But everything else, like, oh.
The arc of the character in that was quite effective. I thought it was. I've got different feelings about Gladiator 2. I thought it was a fun movie and a good time. It was just a different kind of. It was a different kind of animal, and more of a strangely more of a fantasy film, which is. Kind of obviously leads back into this as well. But this would be more family orientated.
Well, Dan, something that also just occurred to me, just looking at the picture that's up right now, I could see this turning into an unintentional parody that makes fun of the source material. Just when you look at the picture there with this pink shirt, I think we also don't want He-Man to be turned into a parody.
No, not at all.
I think that's.
I think it might be.
I think it is the fish out of water thing. It's. I have a feeling it's going to be maybe even an intentional parody.
Well, they need to add. They need to add some text. The sad thing is, when you watch the cartoon show back, even then, He-Man was often the least interesting character. If they can add some extra wrinkles to him, like this, I don't mind. I think in this, I think the only way you can get a good grasp of whether that may happen is by looking at Travis Knight's other work. Did he do that when he took to the Transformers franchise and look across to his other films as well, his animated kids films? I think it's in the individual really going. I haven't watched Bumblebee I watched it once, haven't seen it in years, so I'm going to go back and have another look and refresh my memory as to how he handled that. Because I think that will be an indicator as to how. Because you can't take this sort of stuff really seriously, but you got to handle it with a certain amount of respect.
Well, Bumblebee was surprising, Dan, and I think it was handled very well. And I think one of the reasons why it went over we were all used to the Michael Bay movies, which became more ridiculous, like, I don't know, Fast and the Furious as they went on. I think one of the strengths of the Bumblebee movie is that there was a lot of emotion in it that was completely missing from the Michael Bay films, where you actually feel for Bumblebee. Like, there's some genuinely sad
that was a strength that Knight brought over from his animated kids films, because they were very emotional without being saccharine, in a very kind of European way. He brought those over very nicely.
The only thing I would say, sorry, Dan and Chris, the only thing I would say about Bumblebee that I will respect him for doing is the beginning of it, where you're seeing the war on Cybertron, and it looks like, the 80s Transformers characters. You got Soundwave there, and it all looks magnificent. I love all of that with Bumblebee. So I will say, if he gives the respect to Eternia that it deserves, similar to what he did for that Cybertron beginning images clips, then that's a good thing. But again, I've still got warning signs at the moment. But again, it's the time I'm in at the moment. I've become cynical because of how many things have been destroyed over the last few years.
The balls. That would happen.
Well, and it depends on the casting too. I think Haley Steinfeld is one of the things that makes Bumblebee. I think she was very well cast. I think she does an outstanding job in that film. I think even with Hawkeye, before
I expected to dislike
after the
her
episode. I think the first 3 episodes of Hawkeye, I think she was very likable there as well. Then it all goes off a cliff in episode 4. So if you can cast it properly, maybe. But then again, something that you touched on earlier, where He-Man really is, he's a Mary Sue, a flawless character. And I think that's another issue that we may not have, especially as kids in the 80s, we would have noticed, but we're going to notice it now.
It's a tricky thing to handle, but in some respects, Superman is also a very tricky character to handle for some of the same reasons. There's more to work with Superman and Clark Kent, I think the right script, the right creative can add enough to it, hopefully, and we should get. Hopefully, let's just keep our fingers crossed that there could be a good translation, a whole translation that will please the entire family. I think of Masters of the Universe hitting cinemas. The date on this at the moment is June for 2026. So we may see some more pictures. It may go really, really quiet for a little while. They've got some more casting they're going to announce, and we might get word on Orko and those kind of characters. So I suppose we'll just have to wait and see, Ian, whether you're going to get Orko
That'd be
in the film. In the film, after all, 80s fans, of course, 80s fans can console themselves with the re-release of the Dolph Lundgren movie on Blu-ray. As you said, John, you've got this on pre-order from 88 Films. It's out very soon, isn't it? And it's been cooking for a little while, I understand. So you counting the days till February the 24th, I think this is out.
I will be locking myself away when that comes out. The phone will be off. It will just be me and that box set, and we're going to have a great journey.
Well, what's putting that out in Region 1, or is that just Region 2?
Didn't
one as well, I think, mate.
Didn't they have problems with the copyright on this? That's why 25% of it doesn't look like the cartoon, because Canon was in debt at that moment in time.
Yeah,
okay, and that's the reason why.
Well, this film is one of the things that destroyed Canon.
Yes,
because canon ceased to exist only a few years after this. But yeah, He-Man was a massive loss.
They took a big budget off Superman 4 away to actually put it into this movie.
Yeah.
When Chris Reeves had signed, he thought the budget was going to be bigger, but then he realized that they took a huge chunk out of it to actually save He-Man.
The documentary is really good on this. I think it's still on Amazon.
Yeah.
If anyone
I've not seen it. I'll wait until I get. I'll wait until I get this. I'm very fond of this film, but for its own sort of reasons, really. The only one I've ever owned is a knackered old Blu-ray, Ian, from like 2001. It's in a snapper case, in a card case.
Yeah.
So, and it looks I wouldn't say it's unwatchable, but it's not far off. So if this is being given a really nice treatment by 88 Films, so I've got some really, really nice DVDs and Blu-rays.
I think Dolph did a good job, in my opinion, in the film. I think he did. I thought he did.
This is what I mean. People have been hating on that film.
Yeah.
People have been hating on that film for 30 odd years, and now all of a sudden,
I've never hated it. I will go on record as saying I've never hated it.
I never liked it. Put it that way.
I liked it, but I just
at the time,
it as a He-Man movie. Like I watched it a few months ago.
Yeah.
As a schoolboy who was this generation of my friends, I was probably one of the only ones who liked it. Most of the others really hated it. In the same way that Transformers, the movie, was sort of hated for using different characters. People just loathed this film.
But we know why.
See it venerated now, it's very strange.
But we know why they hated it. Because everybody was expecting it to mirror the cartoon. And then when you went in there, and you saw all this stuff, and it's like it's on Earth. As John says, it's on Earth. Your heart kind of sinks, really, and you're thinking, this isn't He-Man, the He-Man that I know. So I think if they make the same mistake again, the people that do know He-Man, their heart will sink once more if it's not close to the cartoon, because the cartoon is He-Man, right? So I don't know.
And I just looked. It looks like it's UK release only. So to import it will probably cost a small fortune. So I may have to stick with my Blu-ray.
And for me as a little kid, I will also say that it terrified me, this film, as a kid, when I was watching it in the cinema and I watched it after. Because you know, when you get Beastman that comes over the top trying to get Courtney Cox, and you've got
I'll try and get Courtney Cox at that moment.
Yeah, you got the I forget his name, but the reptilian. Tom Parr, the reptilian in it, and Skeletor kills him.
Got some specs here for the Blu-ray to get your mouths watering. Sorry, Chris, to break this to you, but yeah, this is quite a lavish set. It says it includes a rigid slipcase and O-ring, 40-page perfect bound picture book, double-sided fold-out poster, high-definition Blu-ray presentation, and audio commentary from the director Gary Goddard, an interview with Dolph Lundgren, another one with Gary Goddard, and the producers and the co-writer, the set designer, the Behind the Legend 1987 featurette, the stills and poster gallery, theatrical trailers, all that jazz, all in there. The film itself, a lean 85 minutes, believe it or not. Ian, and all that.
That'll be like $150 to import, which is gonna suck. That's why I don't have a lot from 88 Films. It's I think I might have 2 Blu-rays from 88 Films because they don't like North America.
They actually built that huge thing, didn't they, that they were on, and it was floating. And that's one of the things that when I was a kid, that's one of the things I liked about it. That stuff was, it wasn't like horrible.
That's where the budget went.
Comp thing, yeah, probably. But I mean, it wasn't too bad. But my heart still was broken when I watched it because I was expecting He-Man, as in He-Man, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was different. So there you go.
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren is
like the Cosmic Key.
Yeah.
See, I love the film. I sincerely do. And I always have. It's like the thing with Man of Steel, really. I've always liked Man of Steel with Henry Cavill. But it's as if and I've for years I feel like I've been one of this film's strongest advocates, and yet now there's a new one coming up. I've seen a lot of people, and it's the same with the Superman movie. There's some people who are kind of almost refusing. We talked about it earlier on, refusing to admit that it looks pretty good because of some sort of faux loyalty to something that when it came out they didn't fucking like, and it's just the kind of complacency that I find it difficult.
it's weird. Like there are some
Superman
movies that I watched as a kid that I didn't realize until, like, in some cases decades later, I didn't know Masters of the Universe was hated. Howard the Duck is still one of my favorite films. I had no idea that was hated. So I think we were insulated a bit as kids.
Were you living out of town or something? How could you not know these things?
we didn't have the internet, and you know this.
Well, nor did we. We knew it was hated, though.
Some of it could be down to different territories as well.
Well, Masters of the Universe came out when I was 9, and the write-up in Starlog didn't say it was a terrible movie because it was written by the people that saw it. I was wondering why it didn't really look like He-Man, but I didn't hate it. Same thing with Howard the Duck in '86. Like, there was no internet, so unless we find I wasn't reading newspapers, so unless you find a newspaper article that talks about it, you don't know these things are hated. And then
I'm still saying, Chris, Weekend at Bernie's 2 is still a terrible film. All right.
Okay, that one I only watched once, and I will never watch again.
The thing is, though,
from the collection.
The reason why kids didn't like this, and my friends, because I went to see it with my friends, is because we were expecting Orko and we didn't see it. We had this guy with fluffy cheeks. What the hell is that? We were sitting there going, "Who's that?" Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's the same thing as you watch.
Everyone reacted like that at the time, and you couldn't mention this film. It's kind of the way this film was mentioned in the same breath as, for example, the 1998 Avengers movie. This film was hated. This film was hated as much as that for years. And when
I watched Avengers, I knew it was crap.
Release.
Like I actually Avengers, I just got it on VHS for Christmas one year. I hadn't even read into it. I'm like, okay, I'll watch this. This is terrible. But no, most of my friends actually like this movie. We kind of built our little sets. I don't know, maybe we were just weird.
I'm so looking forward to seeing it again, looking better than ever.
Frank Langella playing Skeletor in this.
I was about to say, he scared the shit out of me.
Yeah,
he was good. He was good,
and he'd done a lot of physical work, as they said in the documentary. And he was frustrated because they gave him the costume, and he was like, oh, you know, now I can't show the physical stuff as much.
Yeah.
But also that he said where they'd used the smoke machine, it had greased and oiled the whole sound, the set. So basically, him and Dolph Lundgren were trying to do this fight scene without slipping and breaking their necks.
Yeah.
No, health and safety wasn't a thing back then. But no, like I rewatched this a couple months ago. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a He-Man movie. Like there's a lot of camp, but you have to expect that.
Me and my brother used to laugh because when we used to have it on VHS, we see right at the ending after the credits, his face comes up and he goes, "I'll be back." We'd always laugh because we'd say, "They're not back."
So, it looks like it could very easily cross over into Flash Gordon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like you just walk through a door and you're in a different unit.
Don't give them ideas, Rabbi.
Please. I think we are. We're out of time.
I'm about to drop. Okay, I'm gonna have to go.
We're out of time. The Rabbi's out of energy. Thank you so much for coming on, Rabbi. As always, people can find you on YouTube and on X if they want to connect and chat.
Yes, they can. I will connect and chat with you in the most profound and obscene ways.
Oh, yes, you will.
You could never expect any less. Thank you, Rabbi. And thanks for joining us, mate. I'll catch you another time. Bye-bye.
All right, do a little bit. Thank you.
Has the Rabbi's beard got whiter?
You have to ask him.
We've all gotten whiter, dude. We're old.
I have it coming down my sideburns now again. Yeah. So that's the Masters. Well, that was the Rabbi from another planet for a start. Sfila Beck can go and follow him and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. And this is the Masters of the Universe, a special edition, all singing, all dancing special edition from 88 films, looking better than ever in Blu-ray with all those lovely gifts, posters and booklets and other things.
Oh wait, I just looked. That's not. I thought that was 4K. Is that just Blu-ray?
It's Blu-ray.
It's just Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that I won't even bother importing it. It'll be region locked. Okay, now I'm sad.
Bring back the heroes. Bring back the heroes, everybody. Yeah, get that on pre-order. We're going to do a physical media show, I think, fairly soon, so we can compare notes with everybody there in the live chat as well. Oh, okay. What next? How about some of this?
Give up, Skeletor. You're finished.
Curse you, He-Man! You interfering imbecile!
Give us one good reason we shouldn't vanquish you to another dimension.
Okay, guys, hear me out. Switching to Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance?
Huh, he does make a point.
Yes.
I do like to save money.
Catch you on the flip, suckers!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Wow, it was much better than the Kevin Smith version, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that episode.
A job well done, gentlemen. That proves my point, Ian, really, that even when the films and the TV shows, they weren't being created, you still got adverts like that, and there was stuff like that in Britain as well. Look at those two legends there, puffing away.
Yeah. Amazing show.
Speaking of legends, we've got a load of legends there in the live chat who've been watching on YouTube and on Rumble. Thank you, everybody, for everything so far. What have we got? Yes, so we have Stephen Braddock says the Marvel Thor movie virtually copied the plot of the He-Man movie, but Masters did it first. I can see that, John. I can sort of see what he's saying.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
They riffed off it, I think, in certain bits, definitely.
I've often wondered about that first Thor film because I was initially, when I read the premise of that, I was a bit disappointed in the same way as you described. But when I watched it, I actually loved it. It's the film I didn't know I needed. And I think this could be the same.
It's the one out of the 4 movies that I love. You know, I think it's done really well done. Yeah, exactly. Very Shakespearean style. He said he wanted to have for it, and it works. I think it's great.
Colin's seeing problems here. Masters of the Universe sounds problematic. We could just call it Leaders.
Be the leader you want to be.
Lucy saw the movie before she saw the show. There'll probably be a set of people who did, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of goodwill toward this franchise, Dan. I mean, you're a great example of it, and I hope that they know that they really kind of have one chance to get it right.
Yeah. God.
Well, this will be their second chance.
Well, you know what I mean. I mean,
it's but we're hoping like third time's the charm, because the first movie did not do what they expected, and Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So this will be like the second chance. So don't screw it up, please.
Yeah.
I'll watch it. I'll probably end up watching.
Lucy says it'll be for nostalgic adults, not for kids. No, it'll be for nostalgic adults to take their children, their family too, if they get the balance right. You could say that for anything that's come back. I'm even talking about Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Any brand that's ever gone away and come back, you could make the same point. But the good ones, they manage to attract new audiences or a new generation of fans. It can be a tricky balancing act.
Well, Star Trek got a second chance. Star Trek 2, which is complete opposite of the motion picture. So hopefully this will do to He-Man, undo Kevin Smith's He-Man, like Star Trek 2 undid the motion picture. Even though I like it.
Because I honestly, nobody was more angry or frustrated with Kevin Smith's He-Man than me. As the animator guy in me, and Matt Party, he did that show with me at the time we covered it. And I was incensed because the animation is still, I think it's still the best animated, sort of Western animated TV show.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Ever seen on a technical level, and the character design, because I've worked in character design, was just incredible. And so for them to fuck it up was heartbreaking. But I just don't care now.
No, in terms of animation, even though I didn't make it all the way through the first episode, I'd say it's up there with the DC animated movies. As for traditional animation, probably the 2 best examples. But yeah, no, Dan, I didn't even make it through the first episode. I just turned it off. I'm like, this is dog shit. And I haven't watched it since.
Stephen Braddock,
and they bait and switches it.
Yeah, it goes everywhere that everything did for a while. Stephen Braddock asks, was there any connection to Earth in the original cartoon, or is all this new canon? Well, we don't know what's going to be new and what isn't. There was a connection to Earth with the original show, the original lore. Yes, there is. It's all stitched in there, but we've got no way of knowing, really, have we, John, whether it's going to channel that or whether it'll be, because obviously they've only got 100 minutes. I can't see this film being like a 2.5 hour epic. So I think the trick is to toy with that.
I think the more money that they play with, the more, the more chefs in the kitchen, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why I'm hoping that it's just Travis Knight, and I'd rather have one bloke to blame, than a room full, because his vision didn't align with mine, than a room full of people all having their say, all waving DEI lists in each other's faces. Do you see what I'm saying, Gary? I still might not like I might not like the outcome, but I'd rather blame the one dude and just think, oh well, he just sees it differently to me.
The only thing that worries me, I really hope that they don't do this whole He-Man is an immigrant type of thing because he's trapped on Earth. It's like, don't go there with the politics.
That's where
you guys haven't seen it yet, but he's going to come down to Earth and he's going to team up with what's her name in G20, and they're going to take out the terrorists together.
There we go. That sounds perfect.
But you know what, right?
She-Ra will be the one that does all the heavy lifting.
Oh yeah, have they cast She-Ra yet?
Do you know what, Dan, though? Even if there's 20 people in the room and they're all putting their say on what is in the script and how the story goes, it'll still be down to him at the end of the day. You'll never hear from the other 20 execs that's putting in crap in there.
Well, and also
to do it. Do you know what I mean? It'll always be down to him anyway. So
well, there's another 2015 example before everything went to woke hell. But does anybody remember what they did to the Gem and the Holograms movie?
Oh God, yes.
It could be not woke, but
I remember they made one. I remember they made one, but it must have disappeared without a trace because not only have I never seen it, I don't think I've ever seen it listed as streaming anywhere on any platform.
Dan, and it came out at roughly the same time. It's like Fan Four Stick level of bad.
I think wasn't it an Asian guy that directed it, and he was quite excited about doing it. I remember seeing a documentary on it. I think so. She's in it. Yeah, and it didn't work. He was upset.
It's an odd anomaly because we all thought things were about to go terrible in one way because we were just getting these god awful remakes and just like Fan Four Stick and Gem right back and forth, and then obviously things went terrible in a completely different way that was even worse. But yeah,
it's playing on a double feature with Batgirl somewhere.
Fantastic Four and Batgirl, the original Fantastic Four.
Which one? There's been four.
No, the first one by Roger Corman.
Okay,
that was still the best.
It's well, that one is largely considered to be the most loyal to the original source material.
Yeah. Especially the costume. The costume looked really cheap. In fact, they spent all their money on the Thing, didn't they?
Well, that movie was never meant to be released because it's actually the same production company made everything from the Corman film up until Fan Four Stick because they owned the rights within.
Nobody told the actors. The actors went out their way. They weren't getting paid. They went out of the way to promote it. They went everywhere to promote it.
Well, they had posters. It was never meant to be released. They wanted to do something with it eventually, and it was 93. I think if they didn't have something done by 94, they were going to lose the rights. So they hired Roger Corman, who's the master of making things with nothing. Like, just make us a Fantastic Four movie, do whatever the hell you want. It's never supposed to come out. And it didn't come out for, I think it was like a decade later. It got a home video release as a curiosity. But it's like the ultimate rights holder. It's like Jason X. What's the most ridiculous thing we can do to hold on to the rights? We're going to put Jason in space. I can't wait for that release because I want to see the behind-the-scenes stuff.
The original producer ended up producing the ones with Jessica Alba, didn't he?
Yeah, well, no, it was the same production company, which was eventually acquired by Fox. The 93 Corman film, the 2000s movies, and Fan Four Stick were basically all under the original contract, and obviously now Fox or Disney owns that contract, so they can destroy Fantastic Four.
Could be worse. Could be the original Captain America movie.
Elton John produced that one.
That was the same idea. That they both have Blu-ray releases now. Actually, I think they were both put out by Shout Factory back when they gave a shit.
Yeah.
Ah, well, it's great too. Night, Rabbi.
People saying good night to the rabbi, the tenacious rabbi who hung in there yet again for us. I think we owe him a shorter show. Maybe next time. maybe a flick through the shelves of the physical media. Like I said, that could be an idea. We've got the Persuaders fans commenting there as well.
Love Persuaders.
Great show.
Terrific show. Well ahead of its time. That show. Well ahead of its time.
Not seen it.
Recommended.
Oh, it's great John Barry theme.
Oh God, yeah. Terrific.
I was named after a character in this show, but that could be, I think I've said that before, and I've said what I'm about to say now before too. That is a story for another time.
Another time.
Yo.
Yes, so thank you everybody for all of the comments, all the interaction on this edition of the show. Whether you're going to the cinema like Ian did earlier on or back to your shelves for your DVD and Blu-ray collection, we hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. As always, this has been the Spacebook live streaming to YouTube and onto Rumble too. As always, in front of a live chat with some fabulous comments. Got this one from Darren M. Darren. Not me, you understand, Darren. He suggests that you hit the like button and share the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and all that jazz. Yeah, thank you, Darren, and everybody who's been supporting us so far, building up this channel, and fine tuning this show and getting this team sort of well oiled and persuading who we can to come along for the ride as well, John. There's that's a trick in itself, isn't it? But we do lure people in now and again. We have to see what we can do on that, won't we? Yes. Okay. So thank you again to the Rabbi from Another Planet. He's been and he has gone, but you can find him on his channel as always, pumping them out, the live streams and the videos on a daily basis. So get more of the Rabbi there on his channel. Gary, thank you again for your company, mate. I hope you've enjoyed yourself and got some good ones in.
Absolutely. It's always great fun to be here.
This is a bit like having this is like a mission debrief. As we sort of power down. Ian, you brought your survey along from the cinema, mate. It sounds like it's been quite a day for you.
No, it's been all right.
Are you going to have to take that back to the theater once you fill it out?
No, I'm not going to fill it out. I just wanted to put one word. It was crap, but 2 words, in fact. No, 3 words. But yeah,
they may. That may be deemed as a spoilt ballot.
Yeah, I guess.
You never know, do you? So yes, this is the first show you've been on in a few weeks, isn't it? So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on? Because I know you're working really hard on Rebecca Gold too. So where are we with that right now? And where do you want to point people's attention?
Well, it's almost finished actually. We've only got 2 scenes to do, but those 2 scenes are going to cost. So we've got an Indiegogo campaign out. So I think it's been out 4 days now. No, 3 days. 3 days. We have a bit of money in there, but we need everybody's help if they can just contribute something small or spread the word if you can't contribute at all, which is quite good. So, but yeah, we just need help to finish it. And I promise it's good. I promise you'll like it. That's all I can say, really.
Rebecca Gold, cited on target. We'll make sure the links are in the description of the video as well, so you can go and get some more. Follow Ian over on Twitter. On X.
It's better than G20.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's good to have you back, Ian. Hope it's hope to see you sooner rather than later for another sort of bounce around.
Yeah,
bounce around it this way. John, you made it after all. It's been a big day for you as well. You must be all talked out. You were a guest on the Salty Nerd podcast earlier today, weren't you? So tell people about that and where can people hear it?
Yeah, so I got offered to go on Salty Nerd podcast today, which was a fun experience. So thanks to the guys over there for that. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. You can find it on YouTube, and then you'll find me most times if I'm not on Spacebook or Type 40. I'm on my own sci-fi channel, which is Sci-Fi Chronicles on YouTube, doing movie reviews and classic sci-fi reviews as well. So check it out. And there's a few rascals in here that sometimes drop by to say hello as well. But naming no names.
Thank you, John. We'll make sure there's a link to that in the description as well. Any news about Frank? I've got a question here from Lucy, Chris, in the live chat. Do you want to fill him in?
No. So Frank has been taken off the screen because Dan was being rude. So Officer McMeany came back. So we don't know where Frank is. He's been dragged off to solitary. So we'll see how if he's still alive next week. And as of for myself, so look forward to me covering RTD's Dumpster Fire. I will do at least the season premiere because I want to give it at least one good, possibly final blast of shit. Enjoy, because this is probably the last time I'm going to cover this show, because I think almost 7 years of ripping this thing to shreds is enough. But we'll have fun. So Dr. Nutty will be back in all his degeneracy, and we'll find out what happened with Frank next week. Oh. And our host has gone away.
I don't know where Dan's gone.
I do apologize, everybody. It's my neighbours. Okay, I'm back.
What do your neighbours do?
It doesn't matter. I'll you know me. You know me. I don't talk about stuff like that.
Deal with them later.
Yeah.
I'm back. I am back. Yes. Sorry about that, everybody.
Dead space. Dead air. That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that wraps it up. I think all the plugs out of the way. I think they might be. God, that's properly killed the stream, hasn't it? I'm going to have word with my neighbor about that.
We were just about to figure who was going to take over the show.
Yeah, it couldn't be avoided. Otherwise, I would never have left. And I've told the guy, it doesn't matter. I don't talk about this stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, obviously people are asking about Frank and what's going on there. Yes.
He's not having fun. It's a bad day in Frankland right now.
We'll get more news. We'll get more news as we get it. Okay. So yes, on that one, thank you everybody for your comments. We do appreciate it. Connect with me over on X if you wish for more rambling my way through movies and pop culture and streaming and comics and the odd bit of politics too as well. Yeah. It does tend to wind people up, but let them be wound up. That's what I say. And and be back here at same time next week, probably for more bouncing around on the Spacebook Live. So that's everybody covered. I think I just got to figure out what I'm going to watch, because I've got a movie night tomorrow. Could it be a movie night, or could it be? I don't know. It might actually be a TV night. I'm not certain, because
I was going to say, if you're looking for something, mate, you could always try that Die Hard rip-off with Anna Nicole Smith I was telling you about in the week.
That's terrible. That movie's awful.
The truth of the matter is I know exactly what I'm going to watch, because I've been planning it for days and I can't wait. I've gone completely spoiler-free. I've made it and I'm going offline to make sure nothing happens. So I'm going to watch the final episodes of Cobra Kai, and I'll see you out there somewhere next time. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, the final episodes are out now, and I've made it. I have no idea what happens in them. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.